Welcome everybody to our live stream here on lichess and Twitch. Sorry we're a little bit late tonight. Gotta compete with the Magnus's 37th tournament in a row. It's always interesting to watch another one of Magnus's successive online rapid tournaments. They'll never get boring to me. Seriously, guys, we've got subscriber stream tonight. I've got acetate. That's gonna get to be a real problem. We've got acetate and acerbate. Acetate, Tobias, Princess, acerbate, Mr. Slow, Sumaher, and Miro. Adding up to 7. My math skills are on tonight. Acetate or acerbate? Acerbic acetate? What if you guys combined into one name? Mr. Slow, you're in the list? Yes. Welcome, guys. Sorry I'm a little bit late tonight. It happens. Spectacular Camel, subscribe with Prime on a 25-month streak. Only 25 months. Over 2 years. Good job. Alright, I don't want any promotions, Acerbate, unless I'm getting my percentage. I'm just kidding. I'm not really interested in Magnus's online rap tournaments. It's boring already, and I really don't support Magnus Carlsen owning the chess world. So we are going to look at games relevant to us as chess players. Games submitted from the subscribers. We've got 7, as I mentioned. I might have forgotten someone. As I do every week, it's 10 games from the subscribers. So I've got 7, possibly 1 or 2 missing. If you have been omitted from the list, let me know. And I don't mean you just forgot to ask me. I mean you already sent me a message and I misplaced it. So I guess the easiest way to do this is messages inbox. Actually look for acetate, for example, right? That's weird. Is it case sensitive? It's not, right? Apparently I don't have capital A. Is it ACY? That's weird. I'll have to look through my messages one by one here. Ammonium acetate. So I guess people are starting to create... There it is. It's isoamyl acetate. Isoamyl acetate. I guess it's like a randomly generated screen name. GM Tranquilizer, if you... Hey, what's up, Juicebox? If you want, I'll try to put you on the list. If you have a game, you've got to submit it to me here on lichess. This is isoamyl acetate. This player is 2288. Whoa. I didn't realize that isoamyl was so strong. It's a 2288 in rapid. So they're nearly like master strength. 21 in blitz. Alright. That's the first game I got for the list. I had 12 seconds left by the time I won the piece. Note, this is a long time control. Note, I strongly suspect my opponent was at the least testing their ideas in the engine while playing. I still managed to win the ending with practically no time left. Note, I'm always paranoid, but usually wrong. Okay. Anyway, we'll leave the unanswered questions unanswered and just analyze the game. I don't know. I do occasionally play people who are bad at cheating, and they'll flag. You'll see they won 49 games in a row. But if you manage to play really well, you can just barely eke out a win on time because they're bad at entering moves and time pressure. Those players are becoming more and more difficult to find. But once in a while that happens. More used to happen than it does today in the past. But once in a while you get basically like a really weak computer operator who will essentially have been unable to finish you off with like quick mouse skills or whatever. Alright. Anyways, this is isoamyl acetate versus Piatti. First game on our list for today. As long as you don't play the Smith-Morra Gambit, I'm happy to go over the game. What's up, everybody? C4. Cold here in Budapest. C4, C6, G3. Okay. D5. It's a Fianchetto versus the Slav. Just clicked the wrong button. I'm so good with the mouse. Anyway, I like Knight F3 better. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to play Knight F3. If D takes C4, maybe there's another way to play. We can play like Knight A3 or something. I'm always curious, what do we do here? This is Knight A3, apparently. Probably our best chance. Very cold here. We had very bad weather come in, but just cold now. The London system versus everything, popular. But that's probably not right. Not enough support of D5, and you have this Queen B3. You can't just play the London system randomly against everything. So now the question is, weak point, weak point. Is it Queen B3 right away, or CD first? Interesting question. It's possible with CD first they could play some kind of gambit, basically. Pawn sacrifice. So CD4, CD4, Queen B3, Knight C6 would be my wager. You know, this might actually be alright for black. Minus 34 degrees Celsius. Nice. Are you serious? Minus 34 degrees Celsius? What? Damn. That's cold. And I'm complaining about a little chill here. Alright. What about this? What are we going to do? Because of the threat of this, not really. There's a check here. I mean, I would suspect that... What's the game continuation? Queen C8, a little trick. It's kind of like a sort of Grob trick. Interesting. So what is the moral of the story here? Neither of the moves suggested are best. Wow. Knight F6. The best move has never been played. It's clearly Knight F6 according to the engine. If you give this pawn, you just play Knight on BD7 with compensation. I never would have guessed that, and your opponent didn't either. That's funny. So what about Knight C6? Queen B7, and then Rook C8. Watch out for those like alien bodies that are buried under the ice. Live BG. It's like the thing or whatever. Seriously, what about this? Is this bad? No. So Knight C6 is playable. Bishop takes D5. Wow. There's a crazy variation here. Check this out. Bishop takes D5, E6, Queen B7. That's like Twilight Zone right there. Who likes the original thing versus the remake? That's the real question. Gotta go with the original. But for a remake, it wasn't bad. Not a remake, but the prequel or whatever. So knight c6 is playable. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of risky for white, so I'm wondering if you should go here right away. Is this any better? It seems safer to play queen b3 first. So on this variation, queen b6, we can take this pawn. I feel safe about this variation. Again, a pawn sacrifice. Knight f6 takes, knight takes, with threats of this, maybe. It's not clear that black has enough, though. So, I mean, for me, this is always a question. There's like this position, okay? d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3. You know, the classic Slav, where black makes the quote-unquote mistake of bishop f5. And then the question is it better to play queen b3 or c takes d5? This is a question that has plagued man since the early prehistoric times. And if you look at the Opening Explorer, not a lot of masters are on the same page. I mean, there's 156 people who play c takes d5, but 75 still play queen b3. So no one is really quite sure like which one of these moves is better. And I think we have a very similar sort of quandary here. After bishop f5, it's not obvious to me. Both players in the games in the database here did play c takes d5, but I'm not convinced. When you play c takes d5, most importantly, it opens up the square, the c6 square for the black knight. That is a benefit. So I don't think it's easy to say. I like queen b3, but I like it immediately. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you play queen c8 here, is that best? It's not an engine move. Queen c7 is actually a more active version of queen c8, where the queen might be a little more useful, not getting in the way. GM Tranquilizer sent a game. You better... Alright. From your Sumo Mitra account? I hope he's approved of that. You didn't send it from GM Tranquilizer's account, did you? I don't think he would appreciate that. Alright. So anyway, I'm slow to get started in these things usually. We're analyzing games with the subscribers. I've got about 9 submissions. Perhaps we have room for one more before the end of the night. Please support the stream by subscribing. Thanks to Spectacular Camel. Thanks you guys for subscribing who have subscribed already. Thanks to those of you who are about to. Thank you for the support. If someone would like to donate, appreciate it. This week so far, WJ Lou, Fleeting, Astrobate, and Agnes Karadewski. Alright, anyways. So knight c3, so we're not going to gain any material. This is obviously no choice. The bishop is hit. We'll wonder at the end of the day, would the queen be better on c7 or not? e6, forced, defending d5. And now black has a good square for the knight. And now the queen on b3. Because at the end of the day, queens don't belong on b3 necessarily early in the opening. Will that queen get hit by knight d4 or knight a5? d3. Not an exciting move, but we've got to get ourselves developed. The other option is obviously knight f3. Knight f3 may be some sort of transposition. There's a bunch of gains that popped up. I don't think d3 is bad. I like d3 better than d4. d4 might weaken us, commit us to a rather brittle pawn structure. With d3, we have the more fluid pawn structure, the ability to push e4. I like it better. So d3, knight c6, knight f3. Now we've transposed some kind of line. Knight f6, and now castles. There's a lot of games. Look at this. These games were reached by a very different move order, likely with an early knight f3. You're transposing into some kind of standard sort of ready versus the Slav line. Now h6, I think overrated. The London system players love to do that, but honestly, you know, I don't think I even want to play knight h4. I mean, is this move really necessary for black? Like, seriously? Strong players don't think so. I mean, the knight is controlling d4. I guess white could be threatening knight h4, but even that is kind of overrated. Let's say bishop e7. Seriously, 3 games with knight h4, and I think it's like BFD. I mean, even if I have to play this, black's position is super solid. Though black really might prefer the queen on c7 here. h6 is debatable, if that's necessary. And now bishop d2. That's unbelievable. You know, it's unbelievable that 9 players all played the same move in this position. What is the chance of that? Like flipping a coin 9 times, landing on the same side 9 times? Because is it just me, or is that move not obvious, you know? I mean, it doesn't really do anything special. I guess it's the threat of knight b5. That's the real kicker. They want that fork on c7. That's so primitive. I guess it's effective, though. Black might have to consider seriously playing g5. Yuck. Only one person was crazy enough to do that. Some guy facing blue bomb. Only Kareem willing to weaken his kingside permanently. How about a stable move? Queen d7? Look at white's score in this line. Excellent score for white. Yeah, I blame h6. I mean, there's just no need for h6. It's incredibly slow. And I like the way this worked out for white. The fact that the c file is going to benefit us. There was a great Grandmaster game, or there was a Grandmaster game where they repeated the moves from Gecko's miniature. Yeah, I mean, some people might do funny stuff like that in a tournament as a joke. Pre-arranged draws with friends. Maybe, you know, I don't even know. There's a chance it's kind of fake. I mean, yeah, very, very unusual. h6, though, is too slow. So it's interesting here. Bishop f4 is strong. Threatening knight b5. And bringing a rook to the c file. Maybe knight h5. I don't know who Kish Laszlo was. This has to be before my time. Must be an older player. Barclay was playing still when I came to Hungary in 1997. He was playing in his last tournaments in some GM events. He was rated around 2350, like that. He was a Hungarian Grandmaster, specialist in sort of hyper-modern stuff. Not to be confused with Barca. Barca was a different Grandmaster. Knight h5 is an interesting try. Thanks for a donation from Balkush. Good to see you, Balkush. Balkus. Just joking. We call him Balkush for fun. So it's not clear what black should do here, but it looks like this is a serious threat. All the moves are bad. I mean, this walks into knight a4. Hello, Katerina Leno. It's a good line for white. So what happened in the game? You played bishop d2. This is not as good. We don't have this component of knight b5, knight c7, knight d6. So bishop d2 was a mistake, was a slight inaccuracy. to the C file. Interesting with the F rook. There's like a 1% chance our A rook might activate on the A file. Otherwise, the queen could come back here. I think queen retreats where you're not obstructing your rooks is the important reason for this. Queen d7 is a solid move. And now queen a4. I was actually expecting white to play knight a4. Going for knight c5. We can induce black to play weakening themselves on the diagonal. I don't know how significant it is. The other plan is the e4, which is normally what I would do. But that's a different plan altogether. So maybe here we can think about another option. Playing for e4 with something like rook e1. I don't know. I admit like the C file seems the most logical place to play. But you're limited what you can do. And the other question is, should it be this rook? Queen e7, rook e1 or something, where you can still use the break e4. So I'm not sure. There, queen e7, queen a4. I'm also not sure about this move. White seems a bit passive. I play this stuff a lot with white, and I have the same feeling every time I play it that it doesn't offer white much. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. It's essentially not the most aggressive opening. It's pretty solid. The first time I saw someone play it, I thought it was sort of stupid, but it's not. White has a compact position. Black was a little uncomfortable here with the queen on c8. Like, theoretically, black has more space with d5. So white's got to be careful. He can become passive. Queen a4. What about this? What does the oracle say? I was wondering about b6. But there is this. So it looks like knight a4 castles. And if knight c5, what do you do? Apparently e5. I was worried about bishop g4 and then trying to play for control of the d4 square. Like bishop f3, knight d4. For example. Yeah, Balkush, it's something to think about. I don't advocate playing the ready. I don't feel like it gives me much. But I play it mostly to avoid having to learn mainline openings. We avoid the theory of the mainline openings. I guess that's the biggest benefit of playing knight f3 or g3 and stuff. So queen a4, castles, black's finally fully developed, and now a3. This is a sort of normal move. I agree, like if white doesn't have something here, he's slightly worse. You know, it's possible that white has zero advantage here. a6, and now queen d1, and that's why he played the rook fc1. But objectively, the position is no problem for black. He's fully equalized. This is a good move, taking away knight a4, and then b4. Black is actually no obvious threats. Possibly this at some point. Symmetrical structure. Black has a little more space. Wow. But it looks like a draw to me. The queen side is liquidated. It should be a draw. Period. Game over. Shake hands. Bye-bye. Nice knowing you. So it looks like you just take, you have to take, and then it's a draw. No, I mean, seriously, it's a symmetrical structure, 5-on-5 on the king side. Nothing's going on. How is it anything but a draw? You know, there's just not anything going on with the pawn structure. We can shuffle the pieces around a lot, but theoretically it's very, very equal. Except white decided to play a4. I mean, this is kind of crazy, honestly. I understand if you're playing like an 1100 or something. Like you desperately have to keep the pawns on the board. But I would never consider playing this move in a serious... I don't think I would seriously consider playing this move. And black's pawn is very strong. I think it's just a draw, isn't it? You've got to play a-b4, and everything liquidates. Rook takes a1. Rook takes a1. I don't know, maybe bishop takes. Bishop takes, knight takes. Dude, this is pretty lifeless. So, for me, this is irrational to play a4. You know, you're leaving black with a very, very strong pawn on b4. Probably as strong or stronger than the pawn on a4. It's better supported. I also don't like I don't like this rook being so active. We're tied down to that pawn. That was a very strange decision. Rook f(c)(8), queen b3, and then knight a5, and the queen is awkward. So queen b2. This is still not such a bad square. You know, objectively, it's still probably equal, but more dynamic now. b3. So the pawn is attacked. Is white winning a pawn now? Is black just losing a pawn here? Maybe knight a5 is just a blunder, huh? It looks like we just blundered our b pawn. Yeah, I mean, so this is poor play by black. He just hung his pawn with b3. I don't think there's any argument that black is a computer of any kind. Knight fd4, bishop d8. I mean, you never know, but white's all over him. Now white probably has a winning position with this outside pass pawn. Perfect game. I think white played really well. He was helped by black, though. And now knight a8. Yeah, this is awkward now, taking the rook off. Why do we take the rook off the 7th rank? Why not this? Perhaps there's some tactical reason, like rook b8. I don't think I like pulling the rook back necessarily, and now you get pinned. So if there's a chance to play rook b7, yeah, I'd rather play that. The computer actually likes rook c5 though. +4 for rook c5. White is a clear pawn up. It's just a little bit of an unpleasant pin here. So I don't know. I don't see any reason to intimate that black was cheating. He's -4. That's pretty bad. So here, what about rook c8? I mean, like here, 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 check, king h7, knight takes f5, pawn f5, bishop takes d5. Isn't this just over? Like rook takes a5, bishop takes f7. You're up 2 pawns in a minor piece ending. I mean, this should be a win for sure. It really wasn't a very good game by black. So the game was knight d7, rook c7, here, 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 here. It's an easy win. And what? White's just winning. This is 10-0 rapid? Sorry? White has 19 seconds, so they must have berserked. Why is the time so low for both sides? That's crazy. White has 19 seconds in a 10-0 game. And it's not berserked? Where did white's time go? He has rook c8 here. But he's like panicking because he has no time left. That's the only issue. It was time. Yeah, and black did not play that great in this game. And a technical win. Obviously. This is it. This is easy. I don't know about the time. He has 5 seconds. This is the wrong rook pawn. There's no rook pawn. That's a knight pawn, so it's a win. Okay, I don't know. That was kind of a weird game. The opening, however, was interesting. Tobias, otherwise known as Yabatis. Yeah, the time move graph would be interesting. White used all of his time in the opening. Where did White's... It was a massive think on b4. A massive think on d3. And a massive think on knight c6. So White, like, sent huge amounts of time on a handful of moves. Which I don't think is necessarily bad. But you left yourself with too little time at the end. Alright, let's go back to the next game. If you guys want to submit games, you have to be a subscriber to the stream to submit a game. Don't forget. Only for subscribers. Alright, what do we got? Tobias or Yabatis. Thank you to those of you who did subscribe or resubscribe today. Well, we're almost out of room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have to be a subscriber to the stream. Yabatis is next. Thank you for the 1-bit donation, Balkush. Was that you? Did you donate 1 bit? 8. No, 6. Sorry, I need glasses. Thank you for the 6 bits. It's the thought that counts. From Balkus. Thank you, man. Balkus is streaming too. Sometimes. Haven't seen you too much lately. So, I can't find my game. Alright, hold on. Ayubates. Back to nonsense. Astrobate, thanks for the donation. Yubatis. Submission for Thursday. We're back to the nonsense. Alright. Knight c3, your favorite move. d5 the best. Now e4. And now d4 theoretically the best move. Knight e2. e5 also probably best. Now knight f3. Yeah, so it's not clear like what the best way to protect that pawn is. You know, I think there's a case to be made for f6. As Grandmaster Nick DeFermian told me, pawns should be protected by pawns. This I had never heard anyone say out loud like that, the way he said it. It's right most of the time. But I mean, this would seriously weaken Black's king side. You know, it's kind of the same thing in the exchange variation of the Roy Lopez. It seems weird to make that analogy, but look, you know, in knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6 takes. It's the classic question, right? Like after castles, is it better to protect the pawn with bishop d6 or play f6? You know, I think in this case, it makes a lot more sense to play f6 because white doesn't have a white squared bishop. We don't have a white squared bishop that can like raid this diagonal. If white doesn't have a white squared bishop, you're safer making pawn moves that weaken your white squares. In the question, you know, in the position in question, if you play f6 here, yeah, it seems safe for now, but imagine like if somehow white gets the white squared bishop to that diagonal, obviously it can be dangerous. So it depends on the situation. 555 donation. Thank you, Mr. Slow. Chain your pawns. It's a strong chain of pawns. I was just talking about that with Asterbait in a Benoni. That is a common Benoni thing. Powerful pawn chain. I agree. So he decides to play bishop d6. Thank you for the donation, Mr. Slow. Great support of the stream here. He's the highest donation for the week. Mr. Slow with 555, ahead of WJ Loof and Asterbait, who's up to 400. Bit battle underway. Alright, so bishop d6, and now knight g3. So, it does look like this is a strong move, possibly. Here's a good game. Drazic against Saptarshi. They're both good players. After c5 from Drazic, now we see knight g3. Drazic plays a lot. I'm sorry, from Saptarshi Black. Drazic plays a lot of weird openings. He was 2538. Now he's like 2400. He's got rating loss like me. He plays a lot of weird openings. But I would think this is a serious danger, this white squared bishop, see? You've got all pawns on dark squares. That's the difference. You put... Balkush donated the fake 555. Man, you're trolling. $1,555 it looks like, but it was just one. Anyway, again, thank you. So knight g3, knight e7 looks like a good move actually. That allows the pawns to be supported by f6. Bishop c4. This is a key diagonal. By the way, Yabatis had another game where his opponent played bishop e6. It's a good question. That might be better. Taking that diagonal away from white. I'm sure Yabatis would probably agree. Another interesting move for black is h5. It's always interesting to play h5. h5 and h4 are always good. That's our principle here. With the h4 pawn. You know, the interesting question, there's a game here, Chernayev, who always played e4. He was like a c3 Sicilian guy when I knew him. He's playing the Dunst opening now. c3, h4, knight f5. The game enters the twilight zone after that. No, this is kind of interesting. I think white has chances on the white squares again. It's not clear the h-pawn push is that beneficial. 100%. That will lead to a very complicated game. So knight e7, bishop c4, castles. Attila Schneider versus Sabolchi, 1998. Attila Schneider passed away years ago. I never met him. Sabolchi's still around. He did an interview for Hungarian Chess Magazine recently. Veteran I am. So bishop c4, knight g5. This is not principled, Yabatis. Basically, Yubatis is playing the Coffee House Hope Chess. He's playing for Coffee House Hope Chess. Knight G5, fishing pole, Queen H5. If we get 2 moves here, we're probably winning. I saw Larson approve. We're all Larson fans here. Yubatis, myself. I saw Yubaba today was doing Larson analysis. Yubaba's a free thinker. He must like Larson if he plays the B3 opening. Knight G5. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised that wasn't played in any of the other games. It's not really a principled move. But Castles feels like really routine, right? I think Castles is best, though. Routine is sometimes good. He's Castle Kingside. He's not going to do anything crazy. It's a decent position for white. You're going to play your standard game. I think normally Yubatis would play Castles here. You can also maybe fool around with C3 if you want to be more provocative. Both moves look good. The only thing I don't like about D3 is the possibility of black doing this check. This is weird. Look at this game. White played D3, black played check, and white interposed the knight. This guy's pretty high rated. Larino Nieto. Does anybody know who he is? This seems kind of weird for both sides. To allow bishop b4 and then have to bring the knight back to d2. That's a strange game. So you go coffee house. I don't really buy this. h6. And now, of all the things, you know, I would expect h4. If you're going to play the fishing pole, you should do it right. No? You're going to go whole hog here with h4. If you're going to submit a coffee house game to the stream, gotta go all the way with h4. I wonder if this is even remotely sound. I mean, I assume if you take the piece, you're in a lot of danger. This is over, right? Maybe it's just over. Maybe not. So take bishop e6. Queen h5, winning, right? I guess this is winning, right? Yeah. Wow. But that's not obvious. Well, that's actually a crazy variation. g6. g6, knight h5. I love this. You got to do this next time. 10 bits for Balkush. 11. Dude, you really ought to be careful with your finances. You're turning into Elon Musk. You really shouldn't throw your money around like that. Knight h5. But this is cool. Going here and here. Elon Balkush. You're going to be the richest bit donator ever if you conserve your bits like that. Seriously, this is strong. Okay, so knight g6 is best. And then queen h5. But anyway, we can do it the other way. No, we couldn't. We have to do this move order. So apparently this is sound. Knight f4. Oh my god, look at this variation. This is messed up. Knight f4, knight f7. The queen is attacked. Here, check, king h8, and then draw by repetition. Or you can go here. That's a messed up draw by repetition. That's the way the game should have ended. Wow, interestingly, queen h5 is not the best move. d3 is. It actually makes sense. I mean, this is a much more fundamental move than queen h5. Regarding g5, if you take, you're still getting mated, right? So, very interesting stuff you could try for next time. I feel like Ibadas here, though, he really just cashed in his chips a little too early. I can't believe this is enough, you know. I mean, you're just getting the classic 2 pieces for the rook and pawn. I mean, it's like a coffee house sacrifice. It's not very good because essentially you're trading 2 active minor pieces for a passive rook. Maybe in an endgame it's okay where the rooks get in the game, but I think here there's no open files. The minor pieces are always going to be more valuable. So this is a mistake. Queen h5. Now queen f8. And now what? You know, how do we continue? We don't. You don't continue the attack here. It just stops. Maybe d3. Honestly, look, if you're going to play this position, it's an endgame now. Maybe you should just take his rook and leave the king in the center, honestly. I mean, should your king remain maybe in the center for endgame scenario? Probably doesn't matter. You're probably safer over here. Black is better. You know, it's kind of shocking how much black is better according to the Stockfish. I mean, theoretically, white has a rook and a pawn for 2 minor pieces, and black is +2 according to the computer. Slightly exaggerated. Queen f8, kingside castle, now g6, right. Check. King takes, keeping h6 protected. Ricely. Welcome, guys. It's going to get worse. I'm just dealing with my ridiculous virus software for a moment. Just bear with me. Thank you, virus software. Bye-bye. Queen e2. It's not that bad, Ibadas. This game is not that bad. d3, you're threatening f4. And now black probably should stop you with g5, right? Houston, we have a problem. Right at that point. That's why the computer says black is better by +2. Because once you stop our break here, we have a crappy knight on g3 that has no outpost, really, any good one, without f5. And there's just like nothing for white to do. Just sort of shuffle the pieces around on the first three ranks or so. So that's why black is better. We run out of stuff to do here. But once he allows f4, does he allow f4 actually? I guess this is just another way of stopping it. Maybe it's good. Maybe king g7 is good. How strong is black, by the way? 2090. I guess king g7 is okay. You can always hold off on g5 till later. Ibadas runs out of plans. He plays queen e2, threatening a cheapo. And now g5. Okay. Well, it's still dead end for white. Check. Okay. And now king g6, obviously. Because that's a tempo. Probably useful tempo. Queen e2. You know, this takes a good tactical player to like win this position with black, by the way. Always when Saji says computer, I think he talks about me. Like, it's easy for the engine to say +2. It doesn't mean it's easy to win in a real game. It's a tactical position. You have to have good technique. For a human who's rated like 1900 or 1800, it may not be so easy. Ultimately, black will play like c5, c4, break on the queen side, and profit from his 4 minor pieces or whatever. This is risky. Yabadis is weakening his... He's weakening his white squares, and he has no white square bishop. That is like beep, 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 beep. Like there's an alarm going off right now. We have white square weakness. That's not good. Like, for example, what happens if bishop h3? What if he plays bishop h3 and just, like, sticks the pawn on g4? I didn't even mean to win a knight. You know, sorry about that. It was just a pure accident. Oh my god. How's your knight doing? Good? Everything's fine out there? Alright, just making sure. It looks like this king's gonna have a little journey out to h5 and then back. A little midnight snack on the h5 knight. We'll just eat that and then walk back. Walking back. Okay, white would have to play f4 and now the material will be like king h5, f5. Material balance. Is f4 even a good move there? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, f4, you could even do this. Ugh. Ugh. And we're just gonna take this. Yum, yum. Delicious. No, seriously, this is lost. So g3 doesn't cut it. I say you play g4 and pray to whatever god you believe in. Maybe h3 you can compromise. Play h3. Better than playing g4. Play h3 and then pray that white will let you play, like, I don't know what. Black will... I don't know how we play this. h3 is better than g3. g3 loses. He can play g4 directly, too. I guess. He doesn't see that, though. This is messed up. I'm sorry? What? Alright, let me just refresh this page. He played what? So what was he smoking? Like, even I saw that. The guy played queen g7 in this position. That makes sense, sort of. He didn't want to move the king there because it was illegal. So he thought, oh, I'll put my queen there instead. Since I can't put my king there, he was probably like, eh. Oh, okay, I'll put the queen there. Is that a mouse slip? Feels like a mouse slip. Maybe this he meant to play? I guess. He didn't want to, like, win a knight with g4 or anything. Ugh. 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 It's awful. No hope whatsoever. There's literally no hope. He sacked his queen with queen g7. White missed it, of course. They got... Yes! I got my chance to play f4. Now I have a double threat of knight takes queen and f5 check. And black played g4. Missing both threats. Oh, he's got the knight now. So you still didn't take his queen. You played f5 check. And black took the piece. Solid. You almost have him in a mating net here. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if you have something with h3. His king can't get back. So all you need is king g2 or king f2 and rook h1, and he's actually getting mated. It's possible this would be winning for white. I don't know. I expect a counter sacrifice when knight takes f5 here. It is winning for white now. h3 is the best move. Oof. You missed it. You played f6. It's realistic. Take, take, and now the king's just chilling on h5, but it has a retreat back to g6. Everything's okay. This was a disaster. Now queen g5. You traded queens here? Are you serious? What would possess you to trade queens in this position? Why would anybody trade queens? I would probably just resign if I was white. I guess queen d1 or queen e2. You gotta at least try this, I suppose. h3, some sort of rook a5, h3 thing. But you traded queens. And then played rook f6. And black is like, whatever. You're lost, buddy. Black figures there's nothing that can possibly go wrong here. But with a king like that, like, I guess there's always a possibility. Better safe than sorry. But the thing is now, white doesn't need to win by mate, you know? The material's sort of been restored back to a normal balance. Maybe winning position for black, but requiring very good technique again. That's like the last pawn I would ever take here. He has... This is interesting. Take, 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 take. And then the a pawn's kind of dangerous. Anyway, this game is just a joke. Sorry. Bishop takes a2, b takes c5, bishop takes c5, c4. And now his bishop is in danger, so bishop b3 would be a good idea. I think, right? That's what he played. Rook f6, going for mate again. He saves his bishop. Oh, he's attacking this. Oh no. Yes, you have a threat. I gotta admit that's a great move. You gotta admit, that almost makes this crappy game worthwhile. I was expecting rook f5, threatening bishop g5, but Yabatis found a real beautiful idea to play this first. Now, rook f5 is the idea. It does look kind of hard to prevent. I mean, is it possible that black is lost now? Probably not. If he comes to his senses, right now in this moment before it's too late, I assume black is okay. Probably bishop e7. And everything's still on the up and up. His last chance to come to his senses. Right? Black's winning. Bishop e7, only winning move. Ouch. The only winning move. I saw it instantly. I also saw knight takes g7. Yeah, but you confused him. He probably anticipated this. And then you would have been forced to like make a correct move, like knight e6 or rook g8 or something. But you confused him with bishop g5. He didn't see there was a threat. And now you played... Wow, there's a double threat. Master. That's so arrogant to take on d3. So it's double mate, this one and this one. Man, this guy deserves to lose. He's the picture of arrogance. With his king on h5. And just when you expected, like, rook f5... Actually, that's good too, right? So this is good too. You're just, like, fancy. Rook f5 is also mate. That's cuter, actually. Which do you guys like better? Rook f5 or bishop move? If you want to move the bishop, why don't you go to c1? Actually, e3. That's the best. Mate with 2 bishops in the middle of the board. Put the bishop in on prise and be like, duh. This is the biggest diss. Bishop e3. Oh, have a bishop. You got double mates with this, and you can't defend. Yabatis was too kind with bishop d2. Black forgot about this mate. Let's see what the Oracle likes best. What's the most correct mate? There's 3 mates and 3. Is there a problem with bishop e3, or it's just 4th on the list? It doesn't like that, because it doesn't like giving away material. I think that's the best, though. This prevents both mate in 1. Knight f7, check. And now you have knight g5, but rook g5. Game over. I guess that makes up for the crappy quality of the earlier part of the game. It was entertaining. It was all a very sly trap, getting his king to come out to h5 with that knight sacrifice. And declining his queen sacrifice on g7. How did you see through that? Alright guys, next game. Princess chess. Submission. Game. Submission. Tuesday club game. Blue a winning position. Could be instructive. Rapid chess, princess chess versus lichess. How do I submit a game? You already submitted a game, man. We did your game. It was the first one. You should tune in earlier for your game. Isoamyl acetate. You can always watch the replays. That's what they're there for. Don't worry. Interesting game. I've got Princess Chess up next. Welcome guys, thanks for being subscribers. No, we don't need games. Princess Chess. Playing white. Not the closed Sicilian. London system, closed Sicilian, C3 Sicilian. What else is banned? Anything remotely boring? Alright, Princess Chess plays the closed Sicilian. We'll give her a break. I've played the closed Sicilian before, I guess. I played it against Satovsky. That was my last closed Sicilian. In 1999. I don't know what got into me. That's funny, I forgot I played him in Isle of Man in 1999. And I lost with the white side of the closed Sicilian. I still have no clue why I would play the closed Sicilian. It's such a weird decision. I never played the white side of the closed Sicilian. I'm just going to randomly play it against a strong GM. I did weird things like that a lot. Did you ever play Zug? I am not ism. I don't think so. I mean, the closed Sicilian is... It's a standard opening. It just kind of... I don't like the boring closed positions. Wow, this is cool, though. An original idea by Black. G3, E5. I mean, oftentimes Black will play like G6, Bishop G7, and then later play E5. So I don't know how bad it is for Black. G3, E5, D3. That's kind of a funny move too. It looks like Princess Chess is gearing up for F4 though. Maybe that makes sense. There's always a possibility you could play Bishop H3. This is not a joke. Like, say you play D3, Black plays D6. There was that guy who was on my stream. Do you guys remember, like, a year ago? Todorov? Grandmaster? He's a trainer for this kid that's playing in some GM tournaments now. Todor was playing weird. He would do weird stuff like this. This is not completely crazy. You know, trading your bad bishop with a one-move exchange, like Bishop H3. Todorov. And you're like, Timur. Like Timur Rajabov. Everybody with Av is the same person. Timurov. So I don't know if that's Princess Chess' idea. I don't think so. But she wants to break with a quick F4, maybe. This is not absurd. Todorov was this very positional player who came to my stream. We were playing some blitz games. He beat me pretty badly in positional style games. If I could get him in an open game, we once played like years ago in Austria. I had a wonderful winning position and I screwed it up in a very open game. But that's not that crazy. Bishop G2. Knight F6. Okay. I don't love Knight F6 here. Mariposa. No, the guy is a middle-aged grandmaster who is a chess trainer from Bulgaria. Bishop G2. Knight F6 blocks the F pawn from participating here. Yevgeny Vladimirov in 1987. But I mean, you know, normal is G6. We're going to transpose back. I think we'll likely transpose back into one of the standard lines. F4, pawn takes pawn, maybe. Bishop takes, bishop G7. This looks fairly standard. It's probably not so bad. As long as black puts the knight on E7, I think that's fairly normal. But I like the way the Princess Chess is going for a quick F4, except black plays knight F6. Our plan is still to play for F4. H3 looks reasonable. Kind of a Yabatis attack. H3, F4. You see, here you played knight 92. I guess we have to be careful about if we try to play F4 too quickly, there can be problems with the dark squares. If I was Russian, I'm Paschall Vilmos in Hungarian. Vilmos. There's no other equivalent for William. That's the best we can do. That's what I tell people who just can't adapt to American names. I call myself Paschall Vilmos. But I wonder, Princess Chess should really strive to play F4 more quickly. Get it in as fast as possible. I would like to get my knight to F3. So can you do this? Is it too risky to go for F4? The Oracle doesn't mind. Yabatis, for example, loves this type of stuff. He would love to do something like pawn takes pawn, knight h5, knight e2, allow bishop h4 check, just calmly put the king on f1. I'm not so sure. I'm just kidding. f5, black's okay. Yeah, this is dangerous. It does look a little dangerous. So it's a unique situation where black has some counterplay on that bishop h4. So you can take your time. I just wish we could get the knight to f3 rather than e2. I guess we'll just have to live with it. Castles. Yeah, I don't understand bishop e3. You're definitely castling kingside. Definitely. You could just do that right away. But once again, I want to get this in as fast as possible. So here, like, Poganino lost to a 2300. I don't really understand, again, black's setup. Why you're playing the closed Sicilian with your bishop on e7. I guess it's not that bad. But I still like f4 if I can play it. Alright, castles would be alright. This move is weird. Because on knight d4 we can't take it now, for one thing. If we play f4 and black plays knight d4, we just chop it, I guess. Chop it. And come back here to e2 and everything's cool. We've got breaks, we've got pushing on the king's side, we've got c3 if we want to, castles. So bishop e3 is a bit weird for me. Black copycatting with bishop e6. Simul, Sunday. Guys, tomorrow we have a blitz game. Blitz game, what am I talking about? Tomorrow we have blitz games. Blitz chess here from 11 a.m. CET. I'm taking blitz challenges. Not just one blitz game, we have a blitz game, I said. We have blitz games. Yeah, black's threatening d5 now. The answer to a wing attack is a strike in the center. Theoretically. But I really don't like bishop e3. This is one of my early teachers, not officially but indirectly. The bishop is developed from the original square, my friends. There's no need to play bishop e3. Time is a wasting. Yeah, I mean this is weird. You're playing bishop e3 and queen e2 as if black played a fianchetto setup, and you're trying to do some sort of routine bishop h6. But you have to think that this is not a routine setup. Black's doing something else. It's like a Lawrence Trent formation or something. You know? It's not the standard setup. He did not fianchetto, and there's no bishop h6. I think the princess just is too fixated on her normal sort of setup. This queen e2, knight coming back to d1 type of idea, maybe. But objectively, I like this better for white than a normal setup. We castle, we play for f4. F4 is the bomb in this type of structure. I really think that's best. Bishop e6, queen e2, too routine, and then d5. I'm not sure d5 is a good move, actually. It might be too ambitious for black. Now you have to have an open mind and think outside the box. Astrobate does that a lot too, Chess Murph. He has a tendency to do, routinely the same setup. Unfortunately, because your queen is on d2, you're now like screwed. If your queen wasn't on d2, you could play bishop g5 here. Is it impossible to play bishop g5? I was looking at this. That's not so clear, though. Like, let's just fantasize that you didn't play queen d2, you castled, and black tried to do d5. For example, now you could go here. And I don't think that black has any fancy tactics. Because your queen isn't getting hit by knight e4. You can just play for central control. In other words, like d4, bishop f6, knight d4. I did this exact thing against Kozak Adam in a modern defense. I still think that white is slightly worse maybe here, but you have some play on the white squares. At least you have a good square on d5. I guess this is probably about equal. The computer slightly likes black. I mean, you're kind of playing black now. But you shouldn't allow d5. I mean, something's gone wrong here if black can play d5. Bishop e3 is the real suspect. The other suspect is not putting pressure on his center. So instead of queen d2, you have to play f4, right? f4 keeps him honest by putting pressure on e5. Now if d5, it's not so simple. Maybe there's this square. Maybe there's f5. So f5, yeah, he can't do it. Probably not. You're just not keeping black honest, and you let him play d5 with impunity. So now what's there to do? You have to take and surrender your center, which sucks. This sucks. Now black is better. He has a Marazzi, and a good one, I would say. Black's just better. Your bishop is stupid here. Schieberspieler would love this. Black has great control of d4. Locked in here. You have a bad sort of Marazzi / I don't know, Philidor. Exchange Philidor with black. You're black here. And not a good black. Bad position with black. And you're supposed to be white. So, and now you just like completely went berserk. I think castling kingside is appropriate. I don't like the king here on c1. There's very huge chance the c-file is just like an avalanche. Imagine when black like sticks a knight on d4. If this ever opens up, goodbye. What you're doing is like essentially castling queenside in the King's Indian, or something like a classical King's Indian. You're just gonna like randomly castle queenside. It's suicide by white. So you're worse, but you have to take your chances here somehow. I guess castle. And try to survive, though I don't like white's position. It looks like black is just better. But castle's queenside is game over, as far as I'm concerned. There's no way white should survive now. Maybe black should even like avoid the exchange of pieces here. Some sort of knight b6. I'm not sure if he has time for that. I mean, you can just drop a knight on d4. That's always not bad. White is in huge trouble. That's what he did. And now knight d5 and what? Played knight takes e2 check. Yeah, that's a weird move. I want white to take on d4. Because if white takes on d4, we're going to take with a c pawn, and we're going to just crushingly open the c file for black here. Game over. All the black pieces are ready to go. They're connected, rooks and queen, whatever. So why would black decide to play knight takes e2 check? Hey, I'll just trade off my strong knight on d4 for no reason? That's a mystery. After this, bishop takes d5, it's clear advantage to black. Very difficult for white to hold the game. I guess we play bishop d5, queen d5, king b1, and then pray that we can survive. But it's a very unpleasant position for white. Not completely hopeless, but much worse. Black has a huge space advantage and attacking chances on the queen side. This was a very poor decision, like for no reason whatsoever. He plays knight takes e2, queen e2, and then bishop d5. So now it's not nearly as bad. In fact, white might be okay. You're only like a tiny bit worse here. That one exchange makes a huge difference. And now take, I would consider c4 because you are fixing your pawns on the right color. This looks ugly because you create a backward pawn on the d file, but it's not so simple because his pawns are on the wrong color. I don't think that black is that much better. Okay, it's not necessary to play c4. King b1 is fine. Rook a c8. So he spoiled a lot of his advantage by trading his knight on e2. Now black has a slight advantage instead of a huge advantage. Rook c8 is probably good. Black has other good moves like a5, maybe a5, a4, a3, b5, rook d8. If you could trade queens, you'd be fine. Also, g4 might not be a bad idea to prevent f5. Ugh. Yeah, f6 is... I don't know, it's passive. I understand it. He wants to protect this e5 pawn that's not attacked yet. Alright, it's a little ugly. It makes his bishop worse. He has interesting moves. Maybe queen g2, queen d7, hitting h pawn. He could try to play f5, something more aggressive. Imagine this version, where he plays f5 and then can defend his e-pawn with the bishop. That's a better version, I think. f6 is a bit ugly. Here, and then f4. And then you're in the game. You got a queen trade on the board. Look at the queen, how strong it is on d5. Queens are the pieces that benefit most from being centralized. So this is your best move of the game. Bang. That is a good idea here. You finally equalized with white after move 19. White is totally fine. That's amazing. Check, take, king f7. And then... You played rook e1, but it's too routine. The file is important. You should probably play rook e2. So you can play rook e1 double and vacuum off all the rooks. And claim your draw. If anything, black's still a millimeter better here. Would I consider opening our lichess analytics and options? I used lichess analytics today to help a friend analyze his games. Maybe we can do that at some point. Yeah. I would be willing to do that on stream. Skeveting and welcome. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not like keeping them secret or something. It's a good idea. Maybe next Wednesday. I've been doing like a stream where we analyze master games and openings. I could do it then on Wednesday. Not a bad suggestion. So this is a poor move. Oh, I'm sorry. I criticized her. I thought she played this. My bad. I thought you played rook e6, d1, e1. That would be a bad move. No, you played this. Okay, this is good. Here. Yeah, black placing pawns on dark squares. He likes dark squares. No. We don't want any more pawns on dark squares. So black's problem is a little bit of sort of passiveness to the game. If he likes passive moves, probably bishop f8 would be best now. Bishop f8, it's a draw. Rook takes rook, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, king takes, and then I think even c4 is okay. We'll eventually play d4. Bring the king up like this. c4, king f7, king c2, king e6. I hope that I can play d4. g4, g6. Whatever. King here. If the king and pawn game arises, it's a little more complicated. You probably can opt not to go into a king and pawn game with something like bishop e3. I don't want to calculate that. It's a draw. It really is. I'm certain. Same color bishop endgame. Competing majorities, but it's still likely a draw. So he plays b6. I don't like that. g4 is a good move. He plays c4. Losing immediately a pawn. And you missed bishop d6. Let me guess. No, you saw it. Sorry, I'm being kind of harsh. So white wins the exchange and the game, hopefully, after rook takes. I mean, it's incomprehensible to me. Can you please explain to me how black goes from playing b6 on the last move to c4 here? Does that make any sense to anybody? Like, check it out. Check it out. Wendy, check it out. Go check it out. Why would you play 1 minute like a passive move? I'm clinging to the dark squares. And next move you're like, oh no, I'm going to play c4. They're like completely opposite strategies. On the one side you're passive, pawn chain. The next side you're like, oh, I'm going to be aggressive and put my pawns on white. It doesn't make sense. You know, he's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from move to move. Actually, c4, the first thing, b6 is a stupid move, you know. But obviously he's in a pin. So he missed. He probably saw this loses a rook. He missed this. Vacuum move. Bishop f8. It's just a simple loss, tactically. Now, it's not over. We've got to win. You're up the exchange and you need to win. You must win. And now, you can't sack back the exchange. So take the d file. There you go. I'm not crazy about rook d1. I guess it's good, but I don't know. Maybe we should get the king in the game. I would prefer c3, king up. I think that's... When you look at this position, you say, okay, which one of my pieces isn't playing? It's my king. It's not my rook. Your rooks are good. You know, you need to get your king in the game. This was obvious black was going to play king e6. King's still not in the game. What are you doing? That's your minority of pawns over there. So you don't centralize your king. Then you start advancing your pawn minority. You know how you win this game, right? You either trade the rook off or you get your majority moving on the queen side. This is the plan. Not only to centralize the king, but get your pawn majority winning. I mean, why are you winning this position? It's not because you're up the exchange. It helps, but it's going to be the pawn majority that promotes a pawn that actually wins the game. Let me ask you a question. If it's like rook and bishop versus rook and rook, what's the result? It's a draw. You are not winning this game because you're up the exchange. It helps. But that mobility advantage is going to help you more easily promote your queenside majority. You've got to think about the pawn majority. He can't just do anything. You know, you're more free because you're up the exchange. Trading rooks is a good thing. But h4 is a weird idea. You know, what are you doing over there? This is the wrong move. I like c3 better, king c2. I guess there's a problem there with rook c4. Alright, I guess it's not a bad move. b3, preventing rook c4. And then this move is strange. I don't know what you're doing. You're like helping black create a passed pawn. Essentially, she's creating a passed pawn for the enemy. Like, hey, have a passed pawn. Now you have a passed pawn. Congratulations. Alright, Scheveningen, if we get there, I hope I can get to all the games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's the last one. Don't let me forget. Hopefully we get there. We have an hour. How much time do I have? I have an hour. We have a lot of games to get to. I'm kind of slow today. We're not even halfway done. As always, I'm faster in the later games. So this is bad. F5, however, is a problem. The unbreakable pin from hell after rook e1. Rook e1, f4. Let's calculate this. Rook e1, f4 to stop rook e3. And then you have to play c4. Black plays king f5, and then you pin with this, and black holds with rook e7. So it's not so simple. It's not that easy if you're winning here. The computer has an improvement. Rook d8. I missed this. Threatening check, and also get behind the passed pawn. Rook d8, rook e7, rook f8, king d7. It's a very complicated line. Alright. Rook e3 question mark, allowing f4. Now black has a passed pawn, so thanks to you, black has now a passed pawn. You're supposed to create a passed pawn for you, not for the other player. You helped, you like, oh my god. And now the king is up here. You got no king. Now suddenly white's in danger. Oh man. Passed pawn's coming down, good king, your h and g are weak. Maybe you can still save the game if you're lucky. I don't know if trading rooks is enough at this point, but the rook's hanging. I guess you have to. Wow. Oh boy. Okay, your king needs to get over as fast as humanly possible. King c1, f2, rook f7, bishop f6. That doesn't look good. So, how do we stop the passed pawn? Can we stop this passed pawn now? Only with rook e3. Oh my god, you missed this? Does that work? Oh my god. You have this? Black has king g4. Oh man. So what happens? Like takes, f2, check, king g3, game over. Game over. How do you stop this? Rook e3 doesn't work. The oracle says rook f7, check. Black is better. Unclear if winning. I'm surprised even king here is not a good option. Wow, that's amazing if you can save this. Getting your king over. Wow. I didn't think this was even possible. You're just barely hanging on. Rook f7, king e4. King c1. Let's say bishop d4 or something. Your king's just coming across. If the king gets to f1, you're probably winning. So you have to play king e3. And it's a draw. Maybe a draw. Maybe not. Check here. Yeah, it looks like you have to be careful to draw. Anyways, what happened was king d1, f2, and I'm assuming that you just missed bishop f6. White missed bishop f6. That's difficult to do. It's your only move. I mean, here you could play bishop e5. Is bishop e5 a good move too? That's not hard to see, right? Play bishop d4. Black has 9 minutes left. And now found it. Alright. Next game. Endgame needs a little work there. Astrobate. Can't believe we didn't get the Astrobate's game already. Guys, thanks for supporting the stream. Thanks, Princess Chess. Alright, Hasselby, where's your game? Please consider this game is my submission for Thursday analysis. It's a fun mate. Alright. E4, D5 takes. Oh no. Wow. We get to see Hasselby react to a new thing today. Alright. The Harry Lymon Gambit. When I moved to Boston, Harry Lymon was still... He was a master from New England. He was running the chess club in Boston. And he used to play this in Blitz, but... Like, good players generally don't play coffee house. 19th century chess, but Harry was born in the 19th century. So he probably appreciated it more. C6, D takes C6, Knight C6, Bishop B5 I've seen before. But that doesn't seem like the safest move. I had a friend who encountered this in a blitz, a tournament game, and he played Bishop B5, I remember. But I'm not sure that's good, right? I mean, Black has Queen D5. That can't be right. That doesn't seem right. No. It must have been Knight F3 first. Knight F3 first, and then on Bishop G4, maybe Bishop B5. That makes more sense. Okay, Knight F3 is classic. Bishop G4. What do you want Black to play here? Okay, E5 is possible. Now Bishop B5. I think Eric Rosa should do a video series on this for Black. Seriously. That should be his next installment of Stupid Openings. Knight F3, Bishop G4, H3. Okay. Fine. Black, you see the problem with this, Black can't really afford to give up his white square bishop. So he has to play Bishop H5. And now what? I think Bishop B5 is normal. Bishop E2 is normal. C3. That's luxurious. The London system, advanced class. C3. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me like you make up your mind. Either you play Bishop E5 or you play Bishop E2 here. Do you have time for C3? Probably you can get away with it. Now he plays E5. So this bishop out here is kind of out of play, I would say. Essentially. Masturbate plays a just crazy move now. What's up, Warnaki? Warnaki or Warnaki? The Anunnaki. What am I gonna do? Asturbate, seriously, why don't you play a safe move? You're up a pawn. D3. Bishop E2. Safety first. I'm not sure how much I like this, though. Like, E4, seriously. That looks a little uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm having second thoughts. I think D3 at this stage. You can still play Bishop E5, but I would play Bishop E5 without C3. C3 weakens your white squares. I'm curious what the Oracle says. Bishop E5. Yeah, this is too loosening. You're up a pawn, you're taking liberties. E5, and then this. Hello! How's my pawn structure? You're allowing complete pawn structure devastation after bishop takes F3. Are you serious? He doesn't do this? How could you not play bishop takes F3? Yum yum pawn structure. I don't know if you're really better after that. Everything is so busted up. Even though Black has weaknesses, he can just guard it with Queen D7. This is forever, man. Your kingside destruction is permanent in this position. I don't see how you can live with that. I think you'd be okay if you could trade queens. But I don't see how you're going to guarantee you're going to be able to trade queens. And your king will... Where's your king going to go? Where's it going to go? Not clear. So that's a disaster. Queen b3 is a disaster. Probably you should play like this. Or this. You're up a pawn. It's kind of the Mora Gambit or something. The Danish reversed. My God, man. Masturbate, you really need to find more challenging games to submit for the stream. It's not how you play the game, it's whether you mate or not. Knight c6, knight e5. Oops, I guess this isn't really helping much. Alright. Now, he comes with a nice idea, but just d4. D4 looks good. They gave you a question mark for that because he has f6. Oh. So what are you supposed to play instead, honestly? f4? What does that matter? Do you have queen d5? Is that what the computer recommends here? Oh my God. Triangulation. This. Preventing castling. How could you not see queen d5? The computer move. You missed it, Astrobate. I can't believe it. So after d4, black gets insane counterplay with f6. White's still winning. Castles. Dubious, according to the computer. Check it out. The computer says bishop g5. Astrobate, what are you thinking? You missed bishop g5. I can't believe it. That's a nice move. Stockfish. But, you know. Castles is alright. So if d5, trying to win your piece back, what's happening? Does that not suffice? Suffice to say. It doesn't suffice because of a6. And things are not so clear. You might wish you had another white scored bishop. So what do we do? Rook e1? I like rook e1. That's a problem. I guess black would castle queenside. Bishop c6 takes, rook takes, hitting h5. And then try to save his bishop somehow. But black's king looks suspiciously open here. I would favor white. Needless to say, this is a bad position for black, even so. That's analysis. Bishop f7. Rook e1 was best. Knight d2, also okay. Queen c7. Rook e1 is good. Castles queenside. Man, so black got in the game. And you did it again. This is Astrobate's second time today. No, it was another game. Someone else's game I was looking at today. Queen e6 up close. Up close and personal is not where the queen belongs. So it looks like you just have to play some kind of routine move here. You just take. Take and take. Take your pawn. And I guess like knight f6, and you have 3 pawns for a piece. I wish you had more, but that's all you've got. Black looks pretty active. He's probably better now. So queen e6 doesn't help. I don't see what this does. You do maybe trade queens. Oh, of course, rook d6. Black had a brain hemorrhage during the game and didn't want to play capture? What? That's not as bad as Yabatis' game with queen g7. Why doesn't he take? I don't understand. It's a piece, right? What's our plan? To trade queens? Queen takes, threatening this. Knight f6. And I favor black slightly here. He has 2 bishops, but white has 3 pawns for the piece. Aspie, you let your advantage slip big time. But fortunately, black played rook d6. Double question mark. Take, take, take. And math says that white is up 3 pawns for nothing. 3 pawns for nothing. He still doesn't want to trade queens, though. This would be a sensible move, attempting to trade queens. He plays queen f7, rook d7, and then another unbelievable move. How does that work? What? Aspie got lucky. What is this? Does this really work? Wow. I don't see it. Does that really work? Yeah, any sort of sensible move trading queens is over. You're 3 pawns up in an endgame. So this is crazy. Rook e8, knight e8, queen e8, check. And you're lucky if you're winning here. He missed queen c8. Maybe that's a better try. Now the king is exposed. Seriously, what's happening after queen c8? I don't think it's that clear that white's winning here. Now you have 3 pawns for the exchange, but not a lot of development. Now his king is open though, and there's a huge threat of bishop f4. And black just not worried about it. Check, and now this. This is pretty nice. How you got here wasn't great. Now it looks like white's totally winning. And king b5, a4, you have knight c5. Can you mate him on the white squares? King hunt is on. This square is a little tricky to control though. Mate in 5? Really? How do we mate him on that light square? b3 check. Astrobate has a minute left and he found mate in 4? Wow. That's beautiful. So it also makes up for it in the end. A kind of sloppy game, but a beautiful finish. And you found with 1 minute left this mate in 4. This move was probably missed by your opponent. Because you're looking to use like the rook or the other pieces. Check, king b2. Unbelievable. Dude, you had a minute left and you found bishop c1. You planned it. Suction, mate. Nurse, can we get some suction in here? That's sick, man. Bishop c1 check. King a, if king c2, queen d2 is made immediately. So here, and then queen c3. Very nice. Master of mates. Alright, beautiful endgame. Mr. Slow is up next. Mr. Slow. Thanks for the donation earlier. Alright, Astrobate, you made up for a kind of poor start there with a very beautiful mate. Appreciate you sharing. Sharing is caring. Let's get Mr. Slow's game up. I send you a game for a short analysis at today's subscriber stream. Variation of the King's Indian we had in the last simul. You're very faithful to this line. Yeah, it occurred to me during the game that we had played it once before. So that's how I figured it was you. Petrosian, I played sometimes, not so much. Mr. Slow is black here. I'm playing the white pieces. I'm sorry, his opponent is playing the white pieces. We had the same line in a recent game. This is actually a game he played with someone else. So it's a game from the Hofheim Open 2015. So knight a6 is interesting. You know, the traditional theory says that black's supposed to play a5. My friend Joe also played this. I remember a game he had against Georgi Orlov with knight a6. Though there's supposed to be this. This is, I have another friend who likes to play the line with white. They would play each other a lot of games. There's plans where white plays h4. So Mr. Slow has to be prepared for this. I think this is considered by many to be the critical test. I, however, am not a connoisseur. I don't remember actually, our game might have been the same move order or not. I don't remember. Knight a6, bishop g5. Probably that's what I did. And now h6, bishop h4, g5 right away. And that's interesting. So that's the number one move here. Yeah. It's knight d2. It's got to be knight d2 for white. This doesn't look good. Gulko Kasparov. Gulko has a good score. h4. That's the idea. And the knight can pivot back through f1. White has strong attacking chances. What's up, Bijak? Alright guys, so that's the best line for white. I played bishop g5, and his opponent in this game for 2015 also. Not quite as critical, probably. h6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, and now it says here that knight h5 is played more commonly. That looks a little risky to me. So, Igor versus Ilya Smirin 01. 2000. Wow, that's one of Igor's later games. He played with me in the US Championship in like 2002 or 2003. I can't. It was 2002. One of his last very strong tournaments. But that's funny. Igor played the exchange variation against me with white. Something. Maybe not. I'm confused. Bishop g3, knight h5, knight e4. So this is quite interesting. 3 games by Gawain Jones. Mr. Slowhand. Coincidence? I don't know about playing for a win, though, with this. It's good if you're Gawain Jones playing David Howell. But I'm not sure if it's good if you're Gawain Jones playing Edward Porper. That was the original game. I guess a draw with black in the King's Indian is okay, but objectively, do we have any other options? Maybe not. Alright, so knight takes e4, knight takes e4, f5, knight fd2, fe4, and now knight e4. I'm not sure if that's white's only move, by the way. This is interesting. Someone played bishop g4. Yeah, but the problem is the knight coming to c5. So you have to take. And now bishop f5. And here I played f3. Oh no, I keep thinking this is my game. I don't remember my move order against you. It was the same line, f3. It's not clear whether white should play f3 or bishop d3. Obviously this knight can come to b4 and harass the queen on c2. Guys, welcome to the stream. I've got a few more games left to go over here. So it appears that most players chose to play bishop d3. Black then played g4, countering the plan of f3. I don't think it prevents it, though. You can still play f3. But the game variation is f3. What does the computer say here? Bishop d3 or f3. It's flip. f3 and then g4. I was surprised when you played that against me. But maybe it's necessary for black. I played better than your opponent did, I thought. I'm not castling kingside now for white. I let Mr. Slow exchange on f3, took with the pawn, and then I stayed flexible. I'm not sure. The engine actually likes castles kingside. It looks kind of sterile to me, honestly. So it's experimental to try what I tried. Was say, like, I don't remember my move. It was probably bishop d3 or queen. I don't remember what I played. Bishop d3. Is our stream okay? Are we there? So bishop d3. We have castles, and now h5. Here you left book. G takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Queen e8 is possible. From my perspective, I still find it interesting not to castle kingside for white. It's more dynamic. It looks like what happens in the game here, though, for you, is quite good. Quite okay. And now queen e1, which is a weird move. White wants to try to play bishop h4. But this doesn't help. Bishop e4, black has a bad bishop on g7. Queen g5, and the bishop can always come out here. So it was well played by Mr. Slow. He understands his lines. And you can do worse than copying Gawain Jones. Rook f1, bishop f1, queen c1, and now black is just better. Bishop h6. I actually thought you were going to win this game when I first played through it, Mr. Slow. Can you have knight c5 here? No, because of b4. So this is interesting. I would assume b4 was a good move, and we don't have this. I would think for white, they'd be happy to play b4. That's why you didn't play knight c5. And into c2 with a guaranteed block on d4, and black is slightly better. Check. I wonder about bishop f2. A computer would be able to hold this, but I think a human might lose it for white. But it's hard to stomach playing king h1. You're definitely better now. Can you play something like a5, maybe? I would think a5. Bishop d3, knight d4, and then you can try to improve your position little by little. a4. An engine will draw, but I think a human could lose it. You played this here, and your knight is kind of awkward on e3 now. And now a5, opening up the queen side. Mr. Slow didn't play. He was fearful of the b file. That's the computer move. So what happens after takes? Takes, rook takes, and obviously we're afraid of rook takes b7, but apparently black's winning now because of rook a1 and attacking this bishop. So that was the only real obvious mistake that I think Mr. Slow made, was the hesitant b6, which most people might have missed. With this, you're only holding a draw. It looks like a5 gives you a serious chance to play for a win. Maybe white would play b5, right? Keep the lines closed. And white can still maybe navigate their way to a draw after b6. Alright, rook takes a5. That's analysis. b6 was the game. a4, a5, and he locks the position. Now it's hard to make progress. And this is a good move. With the idea of bishop d8, it's hard to make progress. And your knight is just stuck. So draw is a fair result. Repeating moves. Okay, guys, is anybody still out there? Let's get some viewers in the stream here. Guys, we're analyzing games. I've got Sumaher, Miro, and GM, as well as Skaveningen. I'm going to be right back, guys. A little bathroom break for a minute. This beer went right through me. I'll be back in a second. Doctor is in. I think that's the first time in 5 years I've ever had to take a break during the stream. Usually pretty good about it, but we're getting old now. 39. I've got game analysis with subscribers. We just finished Mr. Slow's Petrosian Kings India. Pretty solid there. Well, I mean, you got limited options in this variation. You're trading a bunch of pieces fairly early on there, so yeah, I think it's solid though. I mean, the game that I remember where my friend played Georgi Urlov was a draw as well. It seems like this variation has a tendency to result in like what happened, that there's just a solid position and it sort of fizzles out when you play knight to c4. That's probably, I saw a Gallagher game in there. That was probably recommended by him back in his older days in the early 2000s or in the 90s when Gallagher wrote a book on the King's Indian. He probably recommended this line, I think, as an experimental variation. But honestly, Mr. Slow, the mainline theory is the classic A5. So you're playing like the secondary variation here. Knight A6. And the old school is knight on BD7. But that's your favorite book. Okay. Yeah, I have it. I don't remember everything. Alright, young kid. Got a draw there. Sumaher up next. Thank you, Mr. Slow. Interesting variation. Appreciate it. I'm not sure. I have to look at our game again. About how well I played that compared to the young kid. Sorry. Little confused. I have to get my messages up. Alright. Sumaher. There. Alright, game. No, if you haven't seen, no comment. If you haven't seen, it's simple. This is Sumaher's description. If you haven't seen. Sumaher versus Axe 2. We're all out of beer. I need a glass of water, so I have to go to the bathroom again. Seriously. Just kidding. So d4, d5, c4, knight f6. Martial defense or Patzer variation? I mean, it's not a real opening. It's trashy opening for black. Chefmaster's playing like c takes d5, queen takes d5. But you're making a serious mistake here, Sumer. I mean, you need to play c takes d. Black is making a fundamental error, not supporting their center. And it's not the Grunfeld. Look at White's score. It's not an accident. White has a devastating score. You know, the truth is this really may not be any worse than knight takes d5. They're both clearly inferior for black. Because black does not have a center. Even the most obvious move, e4. Encyclopedia of Chess Openings recommends knight f3 years ago. And that was always my gold standard, to play knight f3 here. And it's fine. So you're letting your opponent off the hook here when you play knight c3. But it's a bad sign that black's playing that move order. They don't know what they're doing. That's a major tell, you know. Basically, your opponent is a Patzer if they play knight f6 on move 2. Unless their name is Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, chances are your opponent doesn't have a clue what they're doing. It's a very, very big tell. If black wants to play the Queen's Gambit decline, they don't play knight f6 on move 2. This is a weak player. At least their understanding the openings is weak. So bishop g5, bishop e7, and now you played cd5. Exchange variation. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Black can take with a knight also in this position. He does. Yeah, that's sort of a letdown when they play knight takes d5. Forcing exchange of pieces. You might even say that's a problem with your move order. Not commonly played. I mean, most people play e3. And after castles, I guess you see cd5 here as well. Knight f3 maybe. That's orthodox. But usually if you play the exchange variation, I guess you do it right away. C takes d5 now. Then you can choose whether you want to play e takes d, bishop f4, or e takes d, bishop g5. Usually bishop g5. This is a much more common order of moves. After bishop g5, bishop e7, c takes d5. He can trade pieces. That's what Schieberspieler would do. Okay, that's what we got. Now we have to trade bishops, which sucks. I don't know much about this position. It just should be slightly better for white, but not much. So I expect queen takes d5, e7. I don't even know what this is called, honestly. It doesn't even have a name. Look at the opening explorer. The opening explorer is like completely befuddled. It's just like Queen's Gambit declined. The variation doesn't even have a name when black does like knight takes d5. But this is interesting, knight takes e7. I've seen it played in similar positions. I'm not really sure about it here, though, what it does. It was played by Galkin, which is good. e3. You can also play knight f3. I'm not a big fan of g3. I don't understand what that is. I guess it's a move. e3. Okay, what about e4? While we're at it, our dark squares aren't that well supported, and one piece exchanged here probably benefits black. But it's playable to play e4. I would play knight f3 and see what's up. You know, probably castles. The question is to play e3 or e4. You can play either way. And even Petkov's g3 is not stupid. Because black has no strong point on d5. That's why g3 is not that dumb here. Honestly. It's not that dumb. I mean, this bishop has a fairly good diagonal, and if black... He's actually circumventing b6. It's not such a stupid idea. g3, bishop g2. That's probably one of black's best development schemes. To play b6, bishop b7 solves all of his problems. So fairly thoughtful move. If there's a black pawn on d5, like g3 is always bad. After this exchange is made, I mean, especially. If cd is played, it's bad. Anyways, e played e3. See, b6 immediately. That's what Galkin did. It was 2600. Immediately get the bishop to a good diagonal and solve a development problem. That's funny. Did you see what white played? b6, queen f3. Okay, that's fine, but your queen is on a ridiculous square. So I'm not sure that's necessarily a good thing for white. Again, I would probably prefer knight f3. We've got e3, knight g6, question mark. Very, very bad location. But that's not the biggest problem. I mean, black needs to get the other pieces out, not the knight. The knight is one of the only pieces that's already developed. His only piece that's developed, he's moving again. That doesn't make sense. And he's walking into h4, h5. Move 11. What do you think about h4 in this position? Not afraid to bust the occasional h4. Welcome. Whenever one plays knight g3 or knight g6, we want to hit him with h4. The question is, can he take it? Unfortunately, I'm afraid he can. Perhaps we have some compensation. We could play it like a Alekhine Chittard French or something. Queen h5, knight g6, I don't know, you know, fishing. Yabatis would probably like it. It's fun for blitz. I don't think I would trust this in a tournament game. The Oracle says plus 1.2. Wow. Move 11 wants more development. I didn't think we had that much play. I also forgot he can go here. But I'm not sure the knight is stable there due to g4 ideas. But anyway, h4 is an interesting move. Hyper-aggressive player will play this with white. Unclear if it's the best move. Computer is on it, though. It's up there at the top, too. You always want to target the knight on g6. It looks more like a French defense than a Queen's Gambit declined. So this is standard. Knight f3, castles. Yeah, I see now it wants to play h4 next move. The problem is that it blocks your queen. It's still strong. You get a really aggressive queen pawn player like, I don't know, Ivan Sokolov or something with white. He would play h4 and then plan on queen c2 and castles queenside all day long, you know. As much as I make fun of like the London people playing like castles queenside, white's position is pretty fundamental here. I like this. I would definitely do that. But it's also possible to just play soundly like you did. Castles, bishop d3, c6. It's ridiculous to give you a question mark for castles. It's not really bad. It's a sound move. You're going to play a more quiet game and keep a slight edge. Queen c2, knight f6, and now rook d1. So you played a controversial move now. You traded your white squared bishop for the knight on g6. It's interesting, though. This move seems like a mortal sin, but I think there's justification, you know? I like that you're thinking outside the box. I mean, you're willing to trade a good piece for a bad piece to get the super outpost on e5. You probably would, you know, wouldn't beat Steinitz, but it's interesting outside the box thinking. I like it. Bishop g6, and then you played hg6, knight e5, and then knight d7, trading your active knight off, and you've got the Pillsbury here with f4. It's not forced, but I don't know, man. I don't like black's game after that. Maybe he has some sort of counterplay. I don't really see it. c5. c5 is like his best move, and he's still clearly worse. Alright, let's see the endgame. So you traded, you got a very tiny advantage. Sumer is turning into Capablanca or something. Okay, f5. Ugh. That's bad. That's real bad. f5 is like strategically losing. And you went to d6. I guess the plan is something like knight d6 back to c4 into e5. Because this is far more natural to just go to c5. Here you have c5 d3. I think that's the safe bet. You put your knight on an unprotected square, which I don't really like. Back to c4, okay. And now, the unthinkable. The unnameable king f7. That's a kamikaze king. Check. King f6, and that's like self-mate. If self-mate is possible, he's going to do it. Horrible. Yeah, you played g4. This is a wild move. You have two things here. You can mate him, or you could just like positionally squeeze him to death. And I think the best way to play this position is to kind of keep both options open, you know? You don't have to burn all your bridges behind you attacking him, because you're probably going to be able to squeeze him to death anyway. But if somehow you can combine both ideas, you know, of checkmate and the positional squeeze at the same time. g4 is wild. I think the engine actually liked it, but for me, like, it looks risky. He's got h-file play. You know, if I'm going to move a pawn, it would probably be like f4, maybe f3, with the idea of wiggling the queen over here. You also have other stuff like queen c3, trying for tricks on the diagonal. That looks pretty dangerous. Maybe in combination with f4 again. Or you could just like further your development. You could play a minority attack with b4. g4 is reckless, but probably good by the computer standards. If you're a computer, it's a good move. See rook h8, I don't like this. Counterplay. Queen c5, not really sure what you're doing there. You need to be more steady here and just improve your position step by step. I guess f4. f4 defending h2. Still, that's a move that wasn't in your plans. Interestingly, you played queen c5, b6, and now g5 check. So that was a trick. You were concretely. I didn't see it. You were concretely setting up this trick. That's pretty cool. I didn't understand what you were trying to do. I didn't see the g5 queen e7 idea. So queen c5 isn't bad. It has an idea. The forcing tactical move with g5. So that was a nice shot. And you're winning a piece. So on queen c5, he has to find an answer. g5. I mean, obviously the guy's out of his mind to play king f7, king f6 in the first place. But I thought that black can probably defend here. Okay, bishop e8. Right? If we're going to play like we play all the way. Now f4 with the idea of g5 mate. Now black literally would have to play g5. And it looks unhealthy for black, let's say. Pawn g5, king g5. I'm wondering if we could sacrifice a rook at some point. The problem is getting the queen over there. We almost have something here. You know, it's probably winning. Takes. Just a question of the discovery. I don't see it. Where's the win? Queen c2, e4. Apparently, like, everything's winning. Here. h4 check. That's kind of amusing. So if rook takes, what do we do? Rook takes with the idea of queen f8. Now, I can't say I would have seen that. There's a lot of fun stuff. Black's king is toast. So queen c5 was not a bad move. No, I apologize. I thought you're fishing around, but you've got a concrete threat here. What about g5? Still, you need to play f4 at some point. This is the one move you didn't play in the game that was really, really relevant. I don't know why you were so reluctant to use the f-pawn earlier already. That's a nice shot. Check, king takes, check, king h5, and it should be a mating net now. You still didn't play f4. It's almost like you had a blind spot. Okay, s queen d8 now. Oh, that doesn't matter though. Look, you have rook f3. That's a beautiful line. f4, queen d8. No, it doesn't work. Queen d8. I had hallucination. I was mating black, but it's not. I wonder if it's mate. That's crazy. Takes, check. It will never be mate, right? Here. Takes, king takes. We can never checkmate him. It takes forever to bring this over. So what's the best way? Just like knight f7, right? Knight f7. Preventing queen d8. And there's no defense. He has to sack his queen with queen d8, right? f4, queen d8. Just knight f7. There's no move. King g4, f3. Knight f7 is best. Knight f7 or f4. You played h4. Now queen d8, only move. But it's not sure how I finish him off here. threatening this mate. He has g5. Oh, you went into an endgame where you win a piece. Well, at this point, he played that. I mean, at this point, he might as well take on g5. And you've got a mate now. That's pretty nice. King f2, rook h1. Yeah, nice. Alright, good game, though. But that's interesting you can play the h4 option earlier on. Alright, guys, we've got a couple more games. It looks like 3 more games to go over. Thanks for those of you who are waiting. Alright. So what do I got? Sumimitra. Sumimitra. Debian versus Superman. I guess that's who's who. Superman? Are we Superman? We're Superman. Alright. Sumimitra / Superman. Knight f3, knight f6, c4, c5, knight c3, knight c6. Passive d3. Okay. It's a normal move. It's not that bad. g6. It's ridiculous to give it a dubious question. Now bishop g5. That's a weird move. But not so bad, maybe. Bishop g7. Queen c1 like Smyslov. Unfortunately, black has h6. And we're just going to get kicked back. Subaraman is an Indian name for women. Bishop g7, g3. There was one woman player with that name. g3. Castle. This is very strange, to play g3 and then take away that bishop's retreat diagonal. You never really combine g3 and bishop g5. Castles. You know, now this is reasonable to play queen c1. This is just not the most appropriate move. Bishop g5. And then b6. Okay. Counter fianchetto. Reasonable. If knight e5, we just play this. Take. Take. Take, take. Black's fine. About equal, I would say. Again, I don't think it's dubious. Maybe objectively this is the best move. As it says recommended here by the engine. But b6 is interesting. And now e3. What about this? Bishop outside the pawn chain, just trapped out there. Seems rather strange. Bishop e7. Castles. And now, at this point, you cash in for that bishop. It's time to play h6. White has to take. Otherwise he's trapped with g5. And then you just got the bishop for nothing. This looks good for black. Unopposed r² bishop here. Slightly better for black. So I think that's a mistake not to cash in on that bishop. e6 gives him time to play maybe knight e4 and white's still equal. Exactly. Now he's okay. d5, knight f6, bishop f6, bishop f6, queen f6, cd5, ed5, and d4, I assume, for white here. And unfortunately, after d4, black's the one stuck with the bishop on the wrong diagonal. I mean, on the wrong color. So structurally, it looks like black could be a little bit worse. I'm not super excited about this. You probably have to take. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, pawn takes d4, and then black is the first one to an open file, let's say. I guess it's a draw, but theoretically white has a small advantage. He could also try to be more aggressive by playing pawn takes, keeping the pieces on the board. If you're playing a really strong technical player, I mean, maybe white has enough advantage here to play for something, though it's usually equal. White didn't spot it, though. He didn't play d4. This is nowhere near as good to play rook b1. Unfortunately, you can't play d4 yourself because this diagonal is a problem. So, rook e8 seems okay. Again, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I think like you have some interesting moves, but maybe this. Trade pieces. 95, take, d4. With a similar endgame that's basically equal. Maybe microscopically better for white. Rook f e8, okay. d4, good move. And now knight a5. The e5 square is big. And again, I think you can only like kind of play for a draw here. If you really have to win with black, I guess you could push and hope that your queenside majority, you could play it like a queen's gambit, where your queenside majority, you're pushing for a passed pawn. That's the most dynamic option for black. So knight a5. This square I don't like. I might also be able to try b4 with a structural advantage, perhaps. Another possibility is b3. The knight is misplaced on the side of the board slightly. Okay, queen e1. Obviously awkward. Dropping the exchange, bishop a6. He missed it. Queen e1 was a terrible blunder. This is obviously an awkward position. Now knight c4 takes, and so black has hanging pawns. They're dynamic. They can be weaknesses or strengths, and black's threatening d4 now with some activity. b3. So white with a static advantage. I don't know about this square. Looks a little awkward. It might be good. This looks safer to come here, but now we have big questions about our pawns. So white is playing pawn structure chess. Black has some activity. I don't know about the knight here. We do have a passer coming to c4. Now rook d1. And I guess I like black. You're winning the exchange again. He missed it. No, he got it this time. White can grab a pawn. I would recommend it. If it holds. Rook d5. There's even this possibility. We might win more than the exchange, but probably not. We can play it here. It's complicated tactically. I guess you should just take the exchange there. He played queen a5, bishop f1, king f1. Very awkward. I guess after bishop f1, white should take with the rook, not to involve the king in the situation. If he can get another pawn, he has enough compensation. So like rook takes, the knight's hanging. What do you do? Where does it go? I mean, it's not so clear. The computer actually calling this as equal. If we can get a pawn or two, we're in good shape. The knight moved to a3 I wasn't sure about, honestly. If we go back to that position, I'd like to see what the computer said. It's the best. Oh, black has an amazing move with d4 also possible. But this is the safer, solid choice. You know, you go in the center, you got a good outpost at e4, that'll protect c5. It's the most like fundamental move. There's also here and in here, possible knight outpost on c3. That could be a really good square, just to like stick the knight on c3 permanently, supported by the pawn on d4. So anytime you put the knight on the side, you've got to be careful. Knight a5, knight a3, too many knights on the side. He gets counterplay. The king's vulnerable here. That was a bad choice. Now queen b2. This pawn is gone. But for me, the most important thing is white's king not being safe now. Whoa. And now we're going to have to pin ourselves with knight e1. How about queen c1 check rather than queen b1 check? Keeping the knight protected. This seems like a better choice. White has to play either king e2 or knight e1. Quite awkward. So this game got really out of control. I'm not sure. I like knight e1 might even be better. I'm not sure I like my king on e2 here. This knight is the problem again. It has to go to c2. There are some ideas like knight to d4 check. Basically just pushing the pawn. I don't like white's king. So he's got a pawn now, but this allows black's rook activity. So that's a blunder. I mean, clearly rook c8. But is the point that we have this rook coming down like another piece? Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we get all the pieces in the game? Plus it protects our knight, which was an issue. I mean, next is d4. So I guess here, does black have something? I mean, there's even possibilities of like piece sacrifices with this rook coming down. Maybe. I don't really see it, though. Not 100% sure how it's going to work. Maybe queen takes, this comes back, and then this is coming down. Some lines. Even knight a2, knight c1 might be the beginning of a mating net for black, if he can do that. So white was a little materialistic. Knight c2, queen c5, and then queen a2, a blunder. Just hanging a piece. And you can't trade queens. You're down material here. You're basically down 2 pieces for the rook. I don't want to trade queens, and white has the exposed king, so I would give it a shot. You know, queen a6, I guess. If there's any way I can avoid trading queens, I would prefer that. This knight is so strong at d4. Alright, generally don't want to trade pieces. Sometimes the rook can be good against a lone or 2 minor pieces. Sometimes the lone rook is good against the 2 minor pieces, but it looks like white's position is too compact. So this is probably just like losing. What if rook takes rook and knight d4? I mean, realistically, this is guarded, and then d5 is like hanging. White's king is in the center, he's up 2 pieces for a rook. It should be a technical win. It's going to take some technique. So he decides to play rook d2, leaving it complicated, you know. This is a good move. You come back. Uh-oh. Yeah, you can't drop another pawn here. So rook d2, focusing on d5. Then he guards that. So now you need to just protect his pawn. But not so easy. I mean, white's ultimately going to play this. Your A pawn is a target, your D pawn is a target. It's a winning position. Just requires technique. And that's too much. Too much material. There's no way. Alright, next game. I've got Miro. I missed Miro. Actually, Miro was supposed to be next, and I skipped over him. Alright, guys. We've only got about 15 minutes left, and I've got to go. So, hey, it's Miro. How's the game? Sorry about skipping your game. Alright, here it is. Analysis stream. Rapid chess. Miro's white. With his time zone, he's probably asleep now. I should have done his game first. Alright. Hey, it's Miro playing white here. This is 21:15 against the 21:09, 5 hours ago. 15 plus 10. E4, C5, knight f3, G6. C3. I mean, the C3 is decent against the hyper accelerated. I don't know. You know, objectively, like, this is also good. Takes and queen takes. Or just the main lines. But I played c3 the other day against someone on Sound on our Simul, and he played d5. I played a lot of d5 too. You know, d5, it goes into a mainline c3 Sicilian. After c e5, queen d5, d4, bishop g7. I played bishop e3. And then someone on Sound played c takes d4. And I made a terrible mistake here. I took with the bishop. Not being really familiar with the c3 Sicilian, this is a mistake. So you have to take with the c pawn in this line. That's one variation. But I guess I should just play like knight a3 instead. Knight e3, c takes d4, bishop c4. I've played this position for black, actually. Queen e4 check. I thought this... I think I even have a game with this against Bill Kelleher. I don't know. But you're going to have to know what you're doing in those c3 Sicilian lines. Or you can try e5, maybe. This seems to be okay. Look at the score. Excellent score. I would think this would transpose, though. Knight c6, d4. Yeah. Guseinov. Probably e5 is just as good. Just a different type of position. So black played bishop g7. Now you have the option to play bishop c4, which I normally don't think is great against the Sicilian. Against this hyper-accelerated, it's reasonable for white to combine c3 and bishop c4. It's not like Astorbate's, what's it called, Bodler attack. This is not a normal Bodler attack. It's particularly dangerous for white in this line. That's one advantage in playing d5. You would sidestep that. So anyway, I should speak of this positions in Hayes-Miro's perspective from white. Bishop g7, d4, cd4. Now you can transpose to the garbage gambit with bishop c4, but why do that? C takes d4, d5, and now you have a choice. Frankly, Gingy's opinion was always that, like, better for white to not have played knight f3, because there's some lines with, like, pawn takes d5, bishop b5 check, and the bishop comes back to e2, and then goes to f3, protect the pawn on d5. This is still standard position until bishop b5 check. So this is normal. It's probably equal. This is the critical test with e5. This is main line, and I don't know, I don't know. I don't think that black can fully equalize here. I think I beat someone on Sound himself in a correspondence game in this line. I don't think equality is simple. You can play the move 11 variation with a6. That's kind of asking a lot from black's position. Prophylactic a6, preventing bishop b5. It's Morozevich. But I've tried everything. I've played bishop g4, I've played knight c6, I've played knight h6. That's about the gamut. I think f6 I haven't tried. Igor played that, wow. Igor might have been drunk during this game. Wow, Igor played this against Jan in 1988. That is a tough thing to do, to face Alvest in his prime in 1988, when he was like in the really top echelon. Yeah, f6 is risky. So a6, that's another thing. Let's go back to the game. So you played bishop b5 check. I've never seen this played in this position. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, this is your good bishop controlling the dark squares, and you allow black to trade off your good bishop with bishop d7. Shouldn't be good for white. What we do like to do is trade the bishop on c6 for the knight and leave black in a stuck position. So If you do something like e5, knight c6, this is a very standard line. We're oftentimes taking the knight and then using our knights on good outposts in the Nimzabitschian style here. But trading bishop for bishop doesn't really benefit white. So check. Sorry, I keep getting stuck on that variation. Back to main line. How did that happen? Okay, bishop check, bishop d7, take, e5. We've gotten a white square bishop. Yes, of course it makes more sense if black has already played bishop g4. He'd have to pull the bishop back to d7. I'm on the fence about e6. White still has a space advantage. So even here, white probably, we could say, has compensation for trading off their good bishop based on the space. I don't love e6 unless we have to. I would keep my flexibility. I mean, you never know. Might want to use that. I don't play e6 unless I have to here. Now, having said that, it's probably not so bad. Castles, knight e7, knight c3. So, magical, welcome. I don't play a6 here for black, creating weaknesses for no reason. Black is paranoid of what? Knight b5? It's not like... Black now played a6. I guess he wanted to play for b5. But I don't think that's our priority. Our king's in the center. I think you should play knight c6, first of all. Here you transpose to another Szabolcsy game. Csonkics Tunda against Szabolcsy. Bishop f4 is like ugly, but white's probably okay. Very bad bishop blocked by its own pawns. Luckily it has this diagonal. I remember sometimes white would play bishop there, bishop f6. That could get tricky for black. But a6 is an ugly looking move. You could play knight a4, right? Here, provoking b6? No, he doesn't even have b6. What does he play after that? Bishop f4 is overprotection of the strong point. That's correct. What do we do after knight a4? This is like a frisbee knight. Might have to do something really weird like queen here when I feel uncomfortable. White's playing like a4. I don't think I like this. a6 is a bad move. Okay, you played a4. It's kind of reactionary, but maybe it's good. Maybe this is good too. You're also creating weaknesses though. No, I think knight a4 is probably best. Overprotecting the strong point is number 2 move. Csonkics Tunda. That's like a lot. You gotta have a lot of faith in your space advantage with that move. It's developing. But knight a4 is more my style. I like going right for those weaknesses. I'm not sure where I want to put my bishop yet. You're just grabbing space. This is also okay. He plays b6. Now we have options. This, rook lift, maybe queen b3 is also okay. And now bishop f6. Maybe. Possible. Is interesting. Queen b3. And pawn is hanging. But not really. So ultimately, it's starting to look like we created some weaknesses. Ooh, this is a bad omen. Rook f1, or whatever that is. What are you doing over there? I remember that other game where Miro got in trouble recently, where you castled queenside and your queen was on a weird square, like queen a3, rook a5. You're gonna get like that soon. I mean, bishop g5 is one thing, but I don't know what we're doing over here. That seems very unnatural. Okay, queen b3 was like a fail, basically. We played queen b3, and then we're like, oh crap, he doesn't have to defend the pawn. Because this is very strong. You know, maybe it's not bad. Here, rook takes b2. White still has some space advantage. Instead of queen b3, yeah. Queen d2, or... I wish we hadn't played a4, honestly. Now there's these weak squares on the queen side. I'm not sure. It's a subtle position. I even thought about this. But then knight c6, rook b3, knight a5. I mean, even here you have all kinds of moves. The rook is weird there, too. Probably that's a bad idea. Should we be focusing on the king side, maybe? So queen d2, with the idea of bishop h6, or bishop f6, pursuing a king side attack. Yes. That seems more natural. So you're spread kind of thin here. This is a very strange move. Rook fb8, and then you go back. And now I guess black should play knight a5. Just in case you get the idea of playing b4, we'll drop in on c4. I think this is okay. Now knight f5. Yes. Good move, unless g4 is strong. We might have g4. It looks like you should do it. Now I'm playing h5. h5, h3. Black plays b5, g4, knight f7. Interesting game. It's a complicated game, very complicated. I feel like white is still slightly better, but it's not easy. This is hard to come up with a plan. That's crazy. Knight c8, Jonathan Spielman, and now a5, and white is clearly better. Which brings us to another question. Maybe we should have played a5 right away. The moment that he plays b5, I wonder, our space advantage is so large. Honestly, maybe this is a good idea. We just do that. Everlasting space advantage. It's not so simple though, and black hasn't put his knight on this ridiculous square c8. You know, the minute that he puts his knight on c8, it really becomes a good move. I don't believe in the Peter Prohashka school of the Caro-Kann where you put your knight on c8, you know, Jonathan Spielman. I just don't like to put my knight on c8. Prefer a7. Stockfish considers white to have a space advantage here. g4 here, bishop d2. Yeah, maybe black should play pawn takes pawn at some point. No? Is black going to lose after pawn takes pawn? Because I see targets on d4 and b2. If black loses this game, it's because he didn't take this opportunity to create an open target. I think after that it's going to be hard for white to prove he's better. But after this, I'm like, uh-oh. Suddenly I don't like it anymore. Whoa, f6. That's crazy, wow. So what do we do now? It's all kinds of crazy now. Uh-oh. Can we reconsider and play bishop takes e5? Man, this is a weird game. I don't know. This is too complicated to analyze this game in the time frame we have. It's just too closed, too complicated strategically. This is way too optimistic. You're out of your mind for playing h4. I'm actually concerned that White is even going to be able to maintain the position at this point. It's looking like we're overextended already. Your rooks are badly placed. His rooks are badly placed. What's going on? This is a way overconfident move. I think h4. I think you need to consolidate your position, and maybe like knight d4, and hopefully we're not worse. So right now, the shocking move f6. Black has counterplay. It's surprising. He's okay here. And is bishop takes better? Oracle. It's a tough call. A very tough decision. White is a little overextended. h4 is insane. I don't think you have enough time for that. You're facing danger on these files, maybe your central pawn. I don't think you have time for h4. And knight c6 is dangerous. Exchange sacrifice? Anybody? Rook takes f4. Couldn't pull the trigger on it. It's interesting, I have to say. It may not be enough. Let me see. Wow, it's good. That takes experience, you know, to play this move. You're undermining the key. Chonkic tuned the bishop on f4. I mean, that's a really tough exchange sac to find. But Black has to realize, like, without that, it's hard to do anything, I guess. It's holding everything back. Yeah, we're just going to go through another game or two. I got to go. It's for the subscribers. But I'm out of here in just a minute, in a couple minutes. We've got one more game with Scheveningen. This is my next to last game for today. So this is a really instructive exchange sac. It's a lot like the French where Black plays rook takes f3. Kind of like when Black plays rook takes c3 in the Sicilian. Here he's getting a pawn for the exchange. He has a great bishop. That was a really strong move. I thought so. See, unfortunately, Black hesitated. Wow. I mean, this could be the turning point in the game. He who hesitates is lost. Rook takes f4, knocking out the e5 pawn. Like, knight f4, what, knight e5, and you've got this and maybe this coming in. But at the same time, I mean, there is the e6 pawn. So it's very chaotic. Maybe another rook coming to f8. Only a master can spot that exchange sacrifice. Queen e7, a routine move. Bang. Now we're solidified. f2 is protected, h4 is protected, e5 is protected. It's like super bishop. And it looks like White's space advantage is beginning to matter again. But man, your rooks are really sad. Queen f7. Okay, whatever. I guess you could also play maybe rook c1 or something. Now everything is clarified. Rook c8, heads up. Because I was concerned about, I thought maybe White has this. He would play rook c8, but it would be different. The situation would be a lot different. Now he doesn't have this rook c4 move, which is really annoying in some lines. I don't like this. You know, he can do it here, for example. What are you going to do? He did it. And now he takes, and you take and he takes, and he's like coming down here. g4 is important. We have time to go over and get his a pawn before he starts having threats. I don't know. That's what happened. He felt he did, and this is actually, yeah. Okay, you're on e6. So nice defense by Black. Wow. Quality defender. So this game just keeps changing hands, like who has the advantage. Nice move again, h5. Wow. What do we do? I don't know. Maybe f3? It's a crazy game, man. Too tough to analyze this. Is white still better? Apparently not. Peter likes the black endgame. It's funny, it's equal material. But white's a little overextended. So you played g5, king h7, here, and that's ugly. It looks like black's better. Wow, and that's crazy, opening up the king. But he's down a bishop, and his rook is trapped. All he has is this one passed pawn with d4. Maybe that's still enough for something. Check. So, check. He has a perp here with queen h3. I guess it's a draw after queen g4 check, if he wants it, but he takes the pawn. This is hanging, and rook e1. I mean, this pawn is pretty important, but I would imagine that maybe it's not so clear. White has queen takes in f5. He can't just sack everything. That's what he did. He underestimated the danger with f5. He thought, okay, it's just a pawn. But it's not just a pawn. The f5 like destroys his king side. So this was the moment of truth. I guess black can still hold on with queen c2. Well, maybe more than hold on. After queen e6, check, takes. I mean, who's better here? You have a passer, but he has two passers. So I have no clue what's going on. Totally unclear. So it was a really tough struggle, hard to analyze such a complex game in a short time. I probably would have taken the draw by repetition if I was black, rather than gamble. But he didn't see the danger of f5. It's sort of funny, like, that's amazing how fast that's just destroying his position. Alright, so what happens if he plays perfectly here? He played g takes f5, g6 check, and resigned because he's getting mated. Is that true? It is true. King h6, bishop f4 mate, king h8, queen e8, bishop f8, queen f8 mate. That's funny, he just gets mated immediately. So is there another option after f5? You're threatening pawn g6. It's going to be mate anyway. Queen g6 is pretty brutal too. So like queen here, pawn takes, and it's mate anyway. Is there any defense? No. So previously, yeah, he has to find a move here. Queen c2 defending f5. Alright, good game. I don't know, it was very back and forth. You've got to be careful not to overextend yourself. You know, you have a tendency to misplace your pieces too. Alright, last game is Gambit in submission. I don't think that Kakatiri was a subscriber, so I'm going to quickly do this. We've got Skaveningen import game. I guess this is a win, I'm going to assume. The winner is Skaveningen playing white, though I'm not sure. e4 at knight f6 d3. Did he say anything with this game? Are you still here? I gotta go, guys. It's late for me. I just want to double check. Oh, wait. Also, after the analysis, you want to close the stream on a fun note. I'll share. This is a different game. This is the original game. If you need more games to analyze, One of the last long games I played 5 years ago, I was playing black. This is the wrong game. Why am I looking at the wrong game? Oh, that was the other one. Okay. That was on a fun note. One of my last long games I played 5 years ago with black. Let's look at that. Your first ever tournament? What? This is with black? Your last tournament or your first tournament or both? Okay, so you play the Najdorf. Bishop e3, e5. I like e5. I didn't used to like e5. I don't really play the Najdorf. e5 is like the best way to play though in most formations. e6 is risky, you know. This is gambling. That used to be the fashion in the Najdorf, to always play e6. So white plays safe variation with knight f3. Yeah, I mean, I think knight f3 takes a lot of the fun out of it. It's a much safer setup. White often castles king's side. Knight f3 is probably a good line to play against extremely tactical players. I think Anand plays this. Carlsen, Anand, Karyakin. I remember this one game I saw where Anand like crushed Mark Esserman. It's like the perfect thing to play against a tactical minded player where they just can't play like, you know, good sort of solid positional chess. It also avoids the sharpest lines. So you played b5. That is not common apparently. You know, in general it's a good move though. So the general idea of b5 is good. This particular position it's not. I'm not an authority on these lines. It can be because white has a4 somehow. b5, a4, b4, and then landing the knight on d5. And this pawn is somehow poisonous because of bishop b6. So you have to play like knight bd7. And that's the thing now. You're threatening this pawn. So check out this game Zizulkin played. Bishop c4. Is the pawn poisoned on e4? You know, if black had a few more moves, he would be fine. But the problem is we can't take the knight on d5. Can we take the pawn on e4? This guy actually took it. Wow. I feel like it's a Nescafe Frapp attack. Sort of Benko, what I'm looking at, you know, with the f7 square. White just played e5, I mean a5. You could always just take this. I mean, that's possible, first of all. I'm curious what the engine says. No, I'd like knight b4, but it likes a5 better. I mean, any strong player who's analyzed this line probably has this worked out. a5 is very strong. Alright, so b5's problem is that a4. He plays a4, you play b4. He plays knight d5. You play knight bd7. He didn't know. He didn't know how deadly bishop c4 is. That's a secret move. Kind of subtle. Interesting. I mean, this is insane, though. You wouldn't play knight takes e4. I mean, that's crazy. This guy, Rafael Tomzak, whoever that is, played... that's crazy that black played knight takes e4. I mean, you gotta realize you're asking for it if you played that move. Knight e4 is really, really dangerous. But obviously a5 isn't good either, weakening the position even more. So looking at the engine, the only possible move is bishop e7. And you can castle before knight g5 blasts your f7 square. It looks like black holds on here. What about the pawn? If he takes the pawn, you have bishop e7. So interestingly, like, it may not lose by force. It's just really good for white, but after bishop e7, you stay alive, even here. So, I mean, seriously, if you play this again, this is an interesting move, taking away the c4 square. Taking away the bishop c4, I guess. Now they play a4, and you have a position. It's just a position. Theoretically, I guess black is okay. There are other interesting lines, like bishop e7. If bishop c4, sometimes people play like bishop e6. You can actually put your knight on c6. This isn't so bad. I've had a lot of games on my stream with the white pieces. I think like Zen Chess played this against me. It's not clear how bad this is. It looks like black is about to get blasted, but actually I'm not sure. Nigel Short versus Portish Lajos, 1985. Queen d7, queen f3. Alright, now this. Black could even play knight c6 and knight d8. Queen h3, knight d8. Is it clearly lost for black? Not sure. Huh. There's possibilities, so there's alternatives you can play. Anyway, alright, let's just see the game. I gotta go. b4, knight d5, knight bd7. Okay, he takes the pawn, and you can't take here because of d5, so bishop b7, and the pawn is gone. Now you're going to take the pawn. You get your pawn back. Bishop c4. Well, he's threatening bishop d5, I guess. You know, holding the pawn forever, essentially. That's the question. If you play bishop e7, is he going to just keep his pawn for the rest of his natural life with bishop d5? And then like play c3 or something and it's all fine? You can take, but he just takes back with a knight. We don't want to just end up a pawn down for nothing. That's the problem. And there's big threats against f7. I wasn't sure if there's some way to take advantage of the knight, or, you know, queen a5 is like nothing because of c3. Queen a5 is always bad. That's one of our catchphrases here. d5. You got to consider this. Is d5 possible? Forcing him to play knight takes and then taking his pawn there? How absurd is that? I wonder. I guess white's better. White's better developed. Let's check with the oracle. Clear advantage to white, +2. Yikes, I don't think it would be that bad. Wait. Let me count pawns again. Knight takes d5, knight takes d4. You're down a pawn. Damn. I keep forgetting you're down a pawn still after d5. You just sacrificed the second pawn. So that doesn't work. So you have to take the pawn. And you got bishop takes e4 question mark in here. I mean, you wanted to keep both pieces protecting e4 and d5. So this kind of makes sense, but you're walking into bishop f7 check, right? He missed bishop f7 check. Does that even work? King f7, knight g5, king g6, knight e4, knight e4, queen g4 check, knight g5, bishop g5, and you win a piece. I'm not really liking this for black here. This doesn't work. Yeah, you can just go back. Alright. I'm being crazy with king g6. It's been a long night. It looks like you can actually take this. There's not enough compensation. Okay. c3. I mean, that's subtle, though. This looks playable. White has some strategic advantage. Yeah. c3, bishop e7. Maybe just a d5 square, queenside majority. He has a 3 on 2 queenside majority. And good grip on the d5 square. Kind of a positional basis. So, you played bishop takes e4. What about knight takes e4? You don't have good control of d5. I'm surprised this is a lot better, though. Surprisingly, it's better. Knight takes e4. I would still think that white was better here. I'm very surprised the engine thinks that black is equal. You saved the a6 pawn. But I still feel like white is worse. I mean, white is better here. So you played bishop takes, castles, and then queen c8, guarding a6. If knight g5, there's bishop g6. This bishop's hanging. So you're attacking c4, this, and then a5. He's not got a lot of squares to put the knight. After queen e2, he lost control of d5. That's not great. Can I choose a different move, last move for white? Maybe here? Maybe we want to keep pressure on that point. Should white play perhaps bishop b3? Just keeping everything guarded? The engine thinks you're better. After that, are there any other moves? I mean, there's always like bishop d3. That looks strange. Or bishop e2, very passive. Bishop a2, leaving everything unprotected. He plays this, here, 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 bishop e7, also bishop c6 is possible. I mean, this would give you the option to play queen c6. I mean, b7. I'm not sure which retreat is better. Peter is even considering bishop f5, but I think that's rather unnatural. You know, this center square is the most important square in the Najdorf and all the Sicilian. So I would really debate on bishop e7 or bishop c6. Apparently it's best to go bishop e7, according to the engine, as you played. fd1. White's obviously a positional sort of player, controlling d5. Castles, the king is safe. Now he played knight d5, but the threat is stronger than the execution, my friends. I'm with white here. I don't want to play this move, necessarily. The problem is that white is running out of ideas. Now black has a central majority. And that's what this game is going to be about, I guess. He plays this, 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 this. It's also possible to play bishop takes d5. I don't know. You can play bishop d5 and knight f6. Then he has like rook b5. That actually seems like a problem. I don't like this. The rook here. Permanently stationed on b5 where it's very strong. So we should probably avoid that. Thus, knight f6. Sorry. Bishop b7. Back here. This is game. This is good. This is good. This is good. Keeping the rook out of b5. He can also trade, obviously. Probably something like take b3. I don't know. It still might not be that bad for white. I'm curious what he should play. I don't like the bishop on b7, man. I don't like leaving this. I'm trading. Yeah, it's the best move. He's got to realize like how strong this is. This is. You've got to admit that black is dangerous now. White didn't want to admit that you're better, and he's got to be careful. So this is a huge mistake. I just think that bishop is extremely strong. h6. Okay, now you can play. You got to be careful about that. So you wanted to play maybe rook e8 or something, like a Will Paschall. Yeah, it also prevents knight g5, and allows you to maybe play rook e8 or something, like a Zaitsev, Roy Lopez. I mean, I would think this would be a move for you here, a very logical move. Preparing bishop f8. Can he sack a piece? Threatening this. You have queen f5 now. That's a problem. I think we have a problem. No. He can't sack. So rook e8 looks like a good move too. You play queen f5 directly. That's also good. Knight e1. And then that's it. Ideal center. Strategic victory for black. We don't really want to trade queens. So pick a square, e6 maybe on the diagonal. I mean, if you do trade queens, you're better, but I don't know it's going to be easy to win. So I would prefer to avoid trading queens. Now the center is strong. He loses a piece, or can he play c4? After this, his bishop is trapped with d4. That's really sad. Man, so he had to play c4. And now you're going to pin him. Rook d8, queen c2. Queen f1 loses a rook. Ugh. So he has to sack his queen. Yeah. He literally had to sacrifice his queen now. And Fortuna Chess Coach is with us. Welcome. Sorry we're packing it in, man. Good to see you after a long time. The traditional bishop e6 and the Najdorf is coming. After knight d5, we're threatening this. Getting the bad bishop out. So I guess that would be a strong move for black. But your knight would get dragged back to b6, which sort of sucks. So maybe there's something better. Although that's... At least we have that. Knight f4. No immediate knockout, though. I mean, g2 is protected. You know, theoretically, he has a rook, a bishop, and a pawn. So technically, white has enough material for the queen. He's not automatically lost based on material. It's just that his pieces are very inactive and scattered and not coordinated. If he was perfectly coordinated, he would be alright. Not sure you're actually threatening a devastating threat here. I guess this. You could be threatening knight h3 check and queen g6 and take his bishop on a6, reversing the order of moves. Have you ever been heavily trolled on stream? My stream is changing due to recent attacks. I'm assuming you probably just talked past them. I've had a lot of times. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years, so that's sort of to be expected. I think, it's important that you don't take it too seriously. Don't feed the trolls. The standard advice. It is good to have a mod, though. I never had to move to sub-only chat. There is a time for that. King f1, bishop f6. I mean, also think about the attitude of the viewers. My stream is a stream where everyone is pretty serious about chess. I have a small audience, Fortuna, and I'm not just trying to create a huge audience. I don't have hundreds of people viewing, so it's very controlled. But if you are going for volume, you're probably going to get a lot more trolls, and I fortunately or unfortunately don't have that problem. Like today's stream, subscriber stream, I have a small group here, very devoted. Thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Wow. Tagu, Gita B, Mate Magical, Zombie, and Not Fisher. And Not Fisher's also a streamer, no? Not Fisher lurking. Thank you, man. Very generous. I wish I had more energy. I'm ready to go to bed. And I haven't seen him in a long time. So Skaveninga's finishing up his game here. He played bishop f6. What's up? He sidestepped knight h3 check. But I'm hoping that Skaveningen has something better than bishop f6. That's #1 move. Wow. It's awkward. Bishop f6 just sort of blocked by your own pawns. It would be nice to have something more dynamic here. I was looking at everything, like bishop h4, hoping that would work. Just that we're not really threatening anything. Could you play bishop e6? That's a funny move. You could do that. Did you think about that? Maybe that's the best move. It's artistic. We're lucky we lose the a5 pawn if bishop b6. Bishop e6, bishop b6, queen g6, and then snap this guy with check. We don't really lose the a5 pawn because after takes, check, and take on a5. That's I don't play the Najdorf, but if I did, I'm always trying to find ways to play bishop b6 and trade off the bad bishop. So it's an artistic move. This is apparently stronger. It's just a matter of coordination. You found the tactic now. Okay, I don't see it. I honestly missed this. What is going on? After knight h3? If this was a tactics puzzle, I just failed. You've got a check on h3, and then some sort of double attack, but where is it? What am I missing? That's weird. So check and check on g4. Okay, I got it. I figured it out. It's been late. You got to check on g4 and take the bishop. Still, it's hard work finishing white off there. But now you've got a big pass pawn of your own, and it's really hard for white to coordinate. Finally, the dark squares. This was a hard game. Whoa, where did that come from? Nice. Nice game, though. I mean, this has to have fairly high accuracy. That was not a bad game, man. Thanks for sharing. Guys, I'm out. It's late. Thanks, Fortuna Chess Coach, for the last minute raid. I mean, not raid, but the donation of five gift subs. Past my bedtime, guys. Extra long stream. I usually don't go this long. So we're going to be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for some Blitz, if you'd like to challenge. 11 a.m. Blitz challenges here on lichess and Twitch. Thanks to Fortuna Chess Coach, Move 11, all of our regulars, Skaven Inga, for sharing a good game. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Fortuna. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.